Tab Radio, your station of choice. Each weekday morning from 5:30 with the Sports Daily.
All right, we'll get to Adam Hamilton very, very shortly. He's sitting on the line. We'll check in with him, hopefully mental health-wise okay after the weekend. Don't want to rub that in too much. But just recapping yesterday, Diggers, hopefully the listeners followed on because all the tipsters were able to get on the board. Chris Nelson Oceans R1, when at the time of tipping was $3.30. I think it stayed around that mark and was able to be successful at Eagle Farm Race 4. Enamorada, the horse that every man and his dog wanted to back at Sandown, got the job done. Glenn Ingram tipped us yesterday, $1.80 at the time of tipping. And Brad Davidson gave us a two-horse play in race 6. Golden Strand got the job done at around $5. Quaddie, Eagle Farm, collected $770 the dividend.
Yes.
And Brad Davidson at Rose Hill got the Quaddie at $389.
Terrific. Well done.
You were able to get your multi, your player of the day, up at $10.
Yes, that was good there on opening day at Giro. Yes, your best. Divine and Anna was one of those, so well done. No, good day.
So hopefully the listeners were able to build a little bit of a bank. That was on the back of our man, our favourite soccer player in the world, Julian Alvarez.
Yes.
Scoring for Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. So we got the special up on Tuesday. Need to keep the momentum going.
Exactly.
All right. I was just trying to pad there while I find Adam Hamilton's opener. Here we go. Here's the sting. I'll play it. We'll get to Adam.
Throughout the decades, there has been one standout voice in harness racing. Adam Hamilton has conveyed the amazing highs and the heartbreaking lows. Retrovision are proud to present Adam Hamilton. Retrovision, lowest prices guaranteed. RAC members save an extra 5% every day at Retrovision.
How are you, Adam?
Oh, what about the intro? The amazing highs and heartbreaking lows. Heartbreaking lows last Saturday. Oh, well, we dust ourselves off and move on. It certainly wasn't the grand final that I hoped for or I don't think many expected, but you've got to admire greatness, and that's what we saw on the weekend. I think we saw greatness on many levels. The tactics around the game, the homework that had been done off the qualifying final, and just incredible coaching from, a generational coach who's got so many stars, many of them young at his disposal. It was a dissection, really, wasn't it? They just exposed every weakness that Geelong could have had and really drove it home. So, yeah, look, hard to cop at the time, but even though the scores were close at half-time, as someone who follows them so closely, you just couldn't see how Geelong were going to stay with them because, we were hanging in for dear life off the back of second-tier players, and it was hard to see where there was going to be, a ripcord that could be pulled to turn it around, and in the end there were no ripcords.
No, there were not, and there will be no more Mad Mondays involving Geelong going forward.
No, look, yeah, I'm a bit torn on this one, but, hey, at the end of the day, this is a world we're in today and things are judged, things are judged a little bit differently, I guess, and also, look, times have changed. There was a few of them that skated probably a little on a little too thinner ice on Monday, and that probably pushed it over the line. But look, it's been a fun tradition over the years and largely very harmless. But I can understand both sides of it after Monday. Put it that way.
Fair enough. Now let's focus on what is some really significant harness racing news, and there's no bigger name in the sport than Leap to Fame, and we get to see him very, very soon.
Yeah, we do, guys. He steps out on Saturday night. So he had that trial from a standing start about a week ago and, looked pretty sharp in that. I mean, he hasn't had a long break. He won that Inter-Dominion final on July 19. He literally only had a 2 weeks out. So he won't need a massive build-up. I think he'll be pretty sharp for this race, and that's why this Saturday night will be his only lead-up race before a Victoria Cup. Traditionally, Grant Dixon likes to give him a number of runs before big assignments, but I think it tells us that he didn't lose a lot of condition during that break. So he's going for, wait for this, he's going for his 23rd win at Albion Park in a row on Saturday night. He hasn't been beaten at Albion Park since November of 2023. So almost 2 years of winning at his home track without defeat. He's obviously been beaten at a couple of other tracks since then, but it's an incredible achievement. Be a major shock if he doesn't win, given he's head and shoulders above those rivals. Then it is the Victoria Cup on October 18. Grant Dixon saying that he wants to get down there around about a week before the race to settle in, and then the confirmation coming through that he's going to get over to New Zealand early. So he'll actually be there a good 2 weeks before the New Zealand Cup. And it does open the opportunity of a lead-up race in New Zealand, but Grant's not getting into that discussion at this stage. He's very much based on, I want to see how he is after the Victoria Cup. Yes, we've got options, but at this stage, I just want to get him through the Victoria Cup and we'll make decisions. But what is decided is that he'll be in New Zealand way earlier than he'd previously planned to be, because he'll be going straight out of Melbourne rather than back home and then out of Sydney over to New Zealand. So that's the update on the champ. Just an update on the Tab Eureka winner, Bay of Biscay. Confirmation 2 days ago that he is definitely going to the Victoria Cup on the 18th of October. Couple of things on him. Will he have a lead-up race? Emma Stewart says yes. That'll be next Saturday night. So Saturday week at Melton, a week before the Victoria Cup, there's a sprint race for him there. What's going to be really interesting is he may clash with Swayze in that race, and I'll get to Swayze in just a moment. But so the bigger question is who drives Bay of Biscay, because all going well, Swayze goes around this week. We'll go to the Victoria Cup. Cam Hart, Bay of Biscay's regular driver, will stay with Swayze. The drive becomes available. A lot of options there. You would think that Mark Pitt, who's basically the stable driver for Emma Stewart and Clayton Tonkin, would be the front runner. But I'm hearing there's broader discussions going on. So we might have an update on that for you next week, the new driver, or at least the temporary driver for Bay of Biscay. And it may become a new driver as well. Now he's in the Grand Circuit and will clash repeatedly with Swayze, you would think. So that's the update on him, guys. I'll have a look at Melton on Saturday night as well. This is a fantastic program, fellas. There's just so much depth to this meeting. Race 5 is the Casey Classic for the fast class. Catch a Wave. This is, well, it's a race he's got to win. If he's going to stay relevant in Victoria Cup and other feature races, he needs to win this. It's the first time he's drawn this well since he led and won that race at Gloucester Park going back to April. He's drawn 2. He's about $1.50. He looks a certain leader, and his main dangers, War Down Buddy, 9 and Dangerous, aren't drawn as well. So it's really his race to lose, Catch a Wave. And Andy Gaffey's trainer says the horse, who has had his battles with a hoof abscess and a few other issues, seems really well and to be through those at the moment. Race 6, Group 3 Australasian Trotters Championship. Inter-Dominion winner RC Phoenix comes here off 20 metres. He couldn't get into the race off 30 metres at Menangle last Saturday night. It's a funny race there. I'm forgiving of all the stars given the time the leaders ran in that. This is more suitable. He'll be right in it. Jillaby Ballerini off the front, and Derek the Jet, who has won all 9 starts as a 3-year-old. First up this season at 4, has to go into a race like this, but he adds a lot of interest in it, the unbeaten young trotter. He's off the front as well, but gee, just handicapping-wise, it looks a huge test for him first up. Race 4, there is the 3-year-old classic. Sagano 9, Jack's Ultimate Fury backed off the map since the markets opened. Probable leader from 1. Storms Collide 3 and It's Confidential 7. Race 7 is the Group 1 Need for Speed. Commodore should win from Barrier 1. Race 8 is the Need for Speed, but for the fillies. Tracy the Jet, she looks really special. She should just win despite Barrier 7. And then a bit of a watch on this 2-year-old race, given our Vic Breds and that are just around the corner. You've got Out to Stay in 3, Usyk drawn 6, and Moonlight Moth in 7. So that's the Ripper card at Melton on Saturday night, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Big night. And then continues at Menangle before we take a look at this Gloucester Park meeting, which is arguably one of the better ones again around the country.
Yeah, it's rivaling Melton for the meeting of the weekend, no doubt. So Menangle's all about Swayze. I want to see. I want to see the best version of Swayze in this race.
You have hesitation, Adam, just listening to you there?
Well, he's rising 8. He's been in so many hard battles. He was okay first up in the Len Smith. It was never going to suit him, the mile, but he was gone a long way out, and his courage dug in, and he wasn't far away at the finish. But he's out in 10. It's 2,300. He's got everything in his favour here. Kingman will probably work forward and get the front. So if Kingman holds it, which he should, Swayze will at least have a little bit of a test here. The best version of Swayze would just win. I want to see. I think this is a crucial race to see where he's at ahead of a Victoria and New Zealand Cup. So it's a massive watch to me, this one. And then race 5, the Frith Ladyship Stakes. Nice fillies and mares. You got Soho Americano. She's preparing for the Victoria Oaks out in, she's drawn out in 10, I think it is. Lover Reshes 5 and a few other nice mares in that one. And then we get to your Gloucester Park meeting. Well, each week now, you've just got phenomenal meetings. And what about the journey they had to go on to get Better Than Life back in the draw? It did a lap of the state, didn't it, earlier this week to get back in the draw?
Went Bush.
Calabaron?
Exactly. To say, yep, I can tick that box and satisfy all the relevant parties. And here we are, 24, 36 hours away from this horse getting an opportunity in a Group 1.
Draw makes this race really interesting, Adam.
Oh, it certainly does. Look, I think on sheer ability, she's the best. You could argue, it's probably come round just a smidge too soon for her. Will she be... will ability get her through, whereas she doesn't quite have the ring craft of the others at the moment? So, she holds the key to it, but then you've got Copperhead Lady drawn beautifully, and it's really exciting for you guys seeing a lot of Jack Callaghan over there at the moment too, since he's come back from America. So she's drawn well in 2. Faking It, we know, is just a pro. She's out in 8 though, and then Ruby Lavera is the other one. So it's a good Oaks. It's an Oaks with depth, and it's an Oaks that is really, really intriguing after the draw.
Do you have a leaning?
Race 6, the mares. Look, I think I'd go Copperhead Lady.
Okay.
I think I'd go Copperhead Lady. Yeah, I've seen this story before where the most talented horse doesn't win. These races can really test their professionalism, and that's just the little question mark with Better Than Life. So, yeah, Copperhead Lady, but without booming confidence. Race 6, the mares, Hardie by the Seaside. Terrific first up, albeit that the race suited her. She draws out again. Penny Black in 7. Wonderful to fly. Good to see her back in 6. Race 7, the free-for-all. Should be Mr. Smarty again. Captain Ravishing did enough first up over there. He's going to have some fun in WA, but hard to see him beating Mr. Smarty, and Swing Band will build through the campaign. And then you've got the WA Derby Prelude later on. They obviously all ran behind Cyclone Geordie, including Chase Me, who smashed the clock late and draws 3 here. Better Fortune 2, Troubadour 7. You've got a wonderful 3-year-old crop headed by Cyclone Geordie, obviously, but a couple of them here go really well too, so that'll be a nice race, guys. Yeah,
absolutely. And then on X, we read yesterday, Glenn Moore mentioned that Cyclone Geordie to win the WA Derby was at the top of that market, or was it at $4.20? Had a setback and won't go around, so that's unfortunate for the WA Derby and Cyclone Geordie. But some best bets, and we're focusing on Melton, Adam?
Yep, Melton Saturday night. You'll catch a wave short but sweet. He did open $1.90. The odds are gone, so he's probably a multi-play now. Race 5, number 2. All the vibes from the team are that he's going to make a bit of a statement this week. And then here's one at big odds. Race 9, number 2, Out to Stay. 2 runs in the bush have been good. Steps up to a city 2-year-old race. Doesn't have blinding gate speed, but gee, Aaron Dunn's got a stable at the moment, and I think this is going to be a lovely horse in the making. I think it's worth a tickle at the, $15 to $17 you can get in the markets at the moment. So race 5, number 2, Catch a Wave, the best value. Race 9, number 2, Out to Stay there at Melton on Saturday night, guys. So, great weekend of racing ahead in both codes, but I'm really looking forward to the Gloucester Park and Melton meeting, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, Adam. We'll do it all again in 7 days' time.
Good on you, fellas. Look forward to it. Cheers.
There's Adam Hamilton taking a look at a big weekend of harness racing. Gary Hall Jr. not too far away. We'll be able to speak about that travel that Better Than Life's going, and Adam of the opinion there. It might be coming up just a little bit too soon, but Ability might get her home in the Group 1 $150,000 WA Oaks on Friday night, so we'll get Gary's thoughts.
Nobody knows her better than Junior, so we can ask him and get his take on her road trip and how she bounced out of it and whether she's capable of overcoming this awkward draw and be in possession tomorrow night of a Group 1.
Yeah, most of the time the markets are up at this time of the week for Gloucester Park, but for some reason or the other, just no market up there with Tab Touch for race number 5, the Oaks, at the moment. Hopefully that's not too far away, but we will welcome in Tiger Woods now. Gary Hall Jr., how do you do?
Morning, guys. How are you?
We're okay. How are you?
Yeah, okay. Yep.
You're okay? How's Better Than Life?
Yeah, she's better than she was last week. So, it's been a bit of a hectic ride the last sort of 8 to 10 days with her, but we're in the race now. She worked pretty good yesterday. It was a step in the right direction, I think. So, fingers crossed Friday night she can return to her old self.
You know the scene better than most, June. You've had enormous success. Invariably, a lot of that comes off the back of seamless preparations. How would you describe this one?
Yeah, it's less than ideal, to be honest. The Saturday trials went amiss and she had to make the trek to Kellerberrin on the Sunday, which was a pretty long day for her. She left here at 8:30 in the morning, didn't get back to 8:30 at night. So, it's like I said, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. It's what we had to do to get into the race. So we're there now. We've still got a horse who I think is in a reasonably good mental state. She seemed fine yesterday when she worked. She seemed happy to be out there and working. So, I think we're still, at this stage, still in with a chance.
Can her ability carry her to a win?
Yeah, absolutely. She's only lightly raced, but what we've seen so far over here in the West, she's been pretty amazing, I think, and I think the big thing in her favour is the 2500. She seems to have that element of toughness to her, which you need to win an Oaks.
What do you do from the barrier tomorrow evening?
Not exactly sure yet, but we'll just sort of make sure she's comfortable first and foremost, and then make decisions from there. But she likes to race on speed, so we'd be moving forward at some stage during the race. I think she's probably got the turn of foot if the pace is genuine the whole way for some reason. She can sit up. I've got no doubt about that either. But I just think 3-year-old fillies 2500, the pace will come out of the race at some stage, and that'll give her an opportunity to get forward. How would you describe the quality of this year's edition? Probably dropped away a little bit, but I think overall there's no real standout, but there's probably 4 to 5 good quality fillies, and the rest are all good fillies in their own right, but probably lack that little bit of depth. So it should be a good race. Faking it probably still should be favourite despite the draw, because she's the one with the most versatility, and she's had probably an ideal prep, and she's got the runs on the board, so it should be hard to hold out.
All right, we'll move on from race number 5, which is the Oaks, and Mr. Smarty. Drawn out there, but this sort of race, you'd think Mr. Smarty at his absolute best should still be taking care of this field. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. 1700, we could drive him fairly aggressive, I would have thought. And, saw last start, he got off the gate good. He got forward nice and early and ended up in front. Not sure whether that will be the case Friday night, but in a field like this, I would assume he'd sort of expect to be able to sit outside them and beat them over this trip. But, he's still coming along pretty nicely.
How's he going as compared to last preparation when we know he won those 2 big races?
Yeah, I thought he'd sort of come back a bit better. He's a funny horse. The start of his prep, he looks he always looks big and round, and and looks like he's turned into a bit of a beast. But then he, once he starts racing, that he sort of does still drop away pretty quickly. It's just I think that's just his makeup. He's done it every time, and it's concerning at the time, but he still goes out there and does what he does. So, I think he's in a pretty good space at the moment, and he's racing well, and I think he should just continue to improve, really.
Junior, how many are you training?
About 6 at the moment.
Plans to expand that number?
No.
So 6 and out, is that it? Or, are you comfortable with that number?
Yeah, sort of didn't really want to have any more than 2, to be honest, Diggers. But, it just sort of grew, and I ended up with about over 10 at one stage there. And then, just lately the problems I've had with a few of them, it's just made me question why anyone would want to be a trainer, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I've had a few nice ones go amiss, and it's just, things that just can't even be really prevented. It's a tough game. I had a lot less stress when I was just a driver. Could hang the reins up and just say, I'll do a better job next week. But
yes.
Yeah, training is it's not for the faint-hearted.
No, you need to be reasonably resilient. Just on your other drives, is there one or two? I know we've only touched on a couple that you're looking forward to.
Chase me. He's in the Derby Pro. I don't think he can beat the favourite, but he's come back well. He's probably a horse to follow. And there was one other one I had in mind. I think Sweet Coco. Sweet Coco in the first I think she can play a decent part in that race. Okay. She's first time back in the draw, but she's going okay. And Heavenly Gypsy's the other one.
Yep.
In the mare's race, she first up, but she's got the draw advantage on a few of her better performed rivals, and she could make her presence felt for sure.
Did you get the choice between Heavenly Gypsy over Penny Black? We had a listener text in, and if you did have that choice, why did you choose to go the way you did?
I'm not really sure I had the choice, to be honest.
Yep.
I think when the fields came out, I was just on there. I think it was just, I think Michael just assumed that I'd want to be driving her because she was going to always draw inside Penny Black. I think that was the thought process. But, I think if Heavenly Gypsy got forward or she was happened to be able to lead, then I'm not sure how Penny Black could beat her.
You've had plenty of success aboard Heavenly Gypsy as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I think I've driven her to a couple of wins, last time in. Yeah. Or maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I have driven her anyway. But Penny Black's a nice mare too, but just, first up for Gypsy, second up for Penny, with the way the draws shape and, the small field probably definitely throws things in favour of Heavenly Gypsy.
Cyclone Geordie's going to miss the Derby?
Yeah, that was another big kick in the guts for the team. It's just one of those horses you just never wanted to see anything bad happen to him, but unfortunately, he's gone amiss, so hopefully he can make a comeback at some stage. So
that's a question mark if he does get back to the races?
Oh, it always is with any injury, I think. But, tendon injuries, they can make it back. They can, they're just too hard to tell. You can have 3 cracks at making it back, and on the 4th time they'll go through and have 20 starts, or you can get back the first time you try and all that sort of stuff. There's no rules with that sort of thing. So, we're just going to play it by ear and give him the best treatment we can. Hopefully, can see him back.
Junior, appreciate your candour this morning. Best of luck tomorrow night.
No worries. Thank you. Ta.
There's Gary Hall Jr. with probably a good enough report as you could expect from Better Than Life after a tumultuous 8 or 9 days.
Yeah, hopefully the filly goes there and puts her best foot forward. Clearly she's had to do a little bit of extra work that you wouldn't like, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully that class of hers that she does possess can carry her a long way in the Group 1 tomorrow evening. Sam Edmund reporting Clayton Oliver has been summoned to a meeting with new Melbourne coach Stephen King today. King is going to outline a new set of plans for Oliver, which might not be to Oliver's liking. If it's not, the Demons are open to him exploring his options at a rival club. So perhaps a little bit of inside information there from Sam Edmund, who is very good at his caper.
On the Sports Daily, the Shayne train's coming into the station. Here's Shayne Williams with his winners for tonight's WA Greyhound Racing.
G'day, Shayne.
Good morning, boys. I'm just chuckling at Diggs. Couldn't hit water out of the Titanic.
And TC said, what else would he hit? And I said he'd land on an iceberg. Fair income. There's nothing that annoys me more, Shano, than blokes who butcher the footy. It is my pet peeve.
That's the best one I've ever heard.
Chop it out. How are you?
Did you like that movie?
Yeah, really well. Yeah, really. Titanic was good, yeah. It was good. I was actually thought they might have changed the ending, so it would have been a sort of a happy ending.
How and then change the ending of the Titanic?
Change it.
No, but I was actually a funny story. I was going across the Tasmania from Melbourne on that Spirit of Tasmania.
Yeah.
And there was a cinema theatre in there, and I was playing the Titanic.
And everyone sat down to watch the film and said it's the Titanic, and they all left. put a life vest on. Oh dear! I like the fact that you said they could change the ending. What, just the boat just lands in Trinidad, does it? You all get off and get some sun on the back. Oh dear!
Oh, straighten up.
Righto, give us some winners, please.
Straighten up.
Oh, fair income.
We'll kick it off tonight. Race 4, number 1, Gentleman Better Half. He's been mixing his distances here at Mandurah. Just struggles to run out the 400-metre trip, in my opinion, so much better suited back to the 300-metre journey today. He was a winner 6 runs back in the nippy 17.29. With his early speed, he can boot up and hold the lead, and I think he'll take a power of beatings today. Race 4, number 1, Better Half.
All right, where's the next one?
Yeah, 7-2 Aussie Sigma. She was a bit stiff last week to run into a dog that ran sub-17. She ran 17.22 herself on that occasion. I thought she could find the front here from the low draw, and if she can hold the 4 and 5 out, that's the key to the race here, boys. If she can just jump in front and hold the 4 and 5 out, I think that goes a long way to winning the race. So 7-2 Aussie Sigma.
Okay, and your final play, please.
Yeah, race 9, number 1, Son of Spike, in career best form of late, gets a great opportunity to keep the ball rolling here. Courtesy of the nice draw, shows good early speed, and again can set Victor up by finding the front. Full of confidence now after all them wins, and just got to begin well and hold the lead, and then it should be smooth sailing, boys. Race 9, number 1 to finish us off.
Okay, would Son of Spike be the best?
Yeah, he's the best dig, Son of Spike, race 9, number 1.
All right, what did you make of last night's action at Cannington?
I had a strip out. My team went disgraceful. That was my 4 dogs that went in. But that nice dog got the job done for us early. The race 5, number 2. What's its name? I've lost it already. Anyway, it won the maiden final a couple of weeks ago, and it backed up last night and won. And then the very best bet just got pipped on the post. It was a sick viewing. Led all the way.
Tory keeping.
On the post. Yeah, Tory keeping got pipped on the post. So, and then the other one I threw out for my dog, she just couldn't cross the 3, and she ran 4. So wasn't more thereabouts, but wasn't great, Dix. But we got something out of the wreck.
All right, can I give you some homework, Shayne?
Yeah.
Find us a bet for the NRL Grand Final when you come on tomorrow as well.
All right, no worries. Any mail at Cow today? I need a winner. I need to get some wages.
Oh, you need some wages. My best, for what it's worth, if you're interested, it comes up in the last, Shano, and it is race 8, number 3, Lavish Charm, coming out of a maiden. Currently, or certainly was a little bit earlier, $2.25, but I thought Lavish Charm could win again today.
All right, that'll do, Diggs. That's about 7:30 at night here, so it'll be
all right.
Lucy, we like that. So that'll get us out of trouble, Diggs.
Well, let's hope so. Currently now 2:30 Lavish Charm for Lucy and Peter in the last.
Yeah, awesome. Well, good luck to everyone up there. Hope
Yep.
It's a great day, and I'll be tuning in from over here.
All right, talk to you tomorrow.
See you then, boys.
There's Shayne Williams with his bets. Race 4, number 1. What was the middle one? I missed that one, Diggers.
Race 4, number 1, race 7, number 2, and race 9, number 1, which just happens to be the best of the best.
The best of the best, race 9, number 1, as you mentioned there. Your best, race 8, number 3, listeners taking you on 0427 789 571. We'll talk about it a little bit with Sully, but James Tedesco obviously took out the Dally M medal there yesterday. His second. He also won in 2019. And then the other one that we haven't touched on is the Aussies did a little bit of a number on New Zealand in the T20. Mitch Marsh was really good. He scored 85 runs from 43 balls. They won by 6 wickets.
Yeah, they did. 16.3 overs to chase down the target there in Mount Maunganui of the Black Caps, so it's a good start. Mitch Marsh leading from the front. Good opening partnership with Travis Head. Ben Dwarshuis took 2 for 40 off the 4 overs, so that's encouraging. Matt Short back in the mix. I've got a lot of time for Matt Short, so that was great to see him contribute not only with the bat but also with the ball.
Yep, absolutely. And then the other little bit of news significant yesterday with Chris Waller putting out his little weekend preview. He mentioned Wotan would go to the Caulfield Guineas next start. You're not a fan of the horse?
No, I'm not. No. I don't dislike the horse, and he's had to race in some very good races, but he might be a little bit of a pack chaser. That's all I'm saying. I think he's only won the once. In saying that, he hasn't been named up at midweeks and stock standard Saturday races. Naturally, he's a Wooten Bassett colt, so they're trying to maximise his potential long term. I get that. And to be fair, he's going to find his way to stud. Now, whether that's at Coolmore, you'd like to think there's a chance it's at Coolmore, but if he can win a Group 1, clearly he's going to be quite appealing. He hasn't been far off them, but he's just struggling to get that Group 1 that they're desperately looking for.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back. We'll get to Sully on the other side. James Sully Sullivan, good morning.
Hello, Taylor Cortland. Hello, Digby Beecham. Listeners, how are we?
Very well, Sul, but I dare say you're better than us ahead of what promises to be a massive occasion on Sunday evening Sydney time, or certainly East Coast time.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think it's amazing to think that, we've got the 23, 24 runners-up now meeting in this big one on Sunday evening, as you say, and the road to, the road for both sides is, it's been okay, hasn't it? In this final series, they've both done well, and this Broncos side under Michael Maguire first year, it's really an intriguing clash.
Mm-hmm. We do need to take note over here, though, Diggers, because Saturday night daylight savings starts, so the game's on a little bit earlier, 4:30 p.m. WA time, so a little bit earlier than they have been for the rest of the season, Sol. So hopefully our listeners don't get caught out there. The Melbourne Storm, $1.72. The Brisbane Broncos at $2.12. 2.5 is the line. Over under 40.5. Before we get into your tips, James Tedesco last night crowned Dally M medal. I don't think there was any surprises there, was there?
No, there wasn't. I thought he was pretty sweet, especially after Metcalf got injured. So he got his opportunities and played very well at the back end of the season as the Roosters made that charge. And second time he's won it. Also the second time Tamika Upton's won it for the women's. So, yeah, it was a good. I thought it was a good night. It was well done. It was efficient. It was over and done. And, yeah, we thought Tedesco would win it, and he did.
Did you think Brisbane were going to be playing in a grand final at half-time on Sunday afternoon?
No, not at half-time. But as we've seen now twice, they've been down by that 14-point margin and come back. And they're 2 wins. They've only played the 2 games in the finals, as we know, but that epic clash here at Canberra, and then last week what they did to Penrith. And, They just controlled the ball better in the second half, Diggers, and they put Penrith. It just caught up with them, didn't it? Penrith made some errors in it that I hadn't seen for a long, long time, and then the Broncos did what they had to do, and they nearly let it slip when Reece Walsh hits the upright in that win, and then Adam Reynolds from the sideline says, "Yeah, give it back to me, son," and he did the job. So, can they afford though to let the Melbourne Storm lead by 14 points? I don't think so. I think they'll cut their head off them if they do. They'll suffocate them, the Melbourne Storm. So that's a big thing. The key for the Brisbane Broncos is essential, in my opinion.
Yeah. What are the two playing styles like? How do they match up?
Well, it's a good point you make. You probably, if you look at the pack of the Broncos, you're probably looking at a few more, obviously Haas and Carrigan. Carrigan's back in this week. And you look at this Melbourne Storm pack who's, just workmanlike. They do the job, but their spine, I think their spine's that's the key. Harry Grant, Jerome Hughes, Cameron Munster and Ryan Papenhuyzen. That, to me, is probably the best spine in the competition. And what we saw last week, we saw Papenhuyzen and Hughes get some miles in the legs. Similar to Reynolds and Mam for the Broncos. I know the listeners will say the same thing, but that's the big key for me. And the kicking games are crucial because you've got Coates and Warbrick, both big men, and both are leapers. Both can get high in the air. You've got Karapana and Mariner. They'll cop some traffic in the air. They really will because, as I said earlier, to be fair, in the last few weeks we've mentioned Coates and then Warbrick coming back into the side. So that's probably the crucial part of the game. Scoring points hasn't been a problem for the Broncos. But if they're put under pressure, which I think they will be by this Storm side, it's how they react.
Out of 10, Sul, what mark would you give the Storm's performance in their prelim against Cronulla?
Yeah, I'd still go an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, people are saying, I don't think Cronulla's getting enough credit. I thought Cronulla scrapped. And as I said last week, they bring you down to a level and they make you play at it, the Sharks. That's exactly what they do. They bring you down. They bring you down enough, scrap through everything, and you just got to do it. But at the end of the day, Harry Grant took that opportunity late. And I think this final series has been one of the best ever, Diggers. So, I think they did what they had to do. Was it their best performance? No. And this is the thing. We haven't seen them turn one on yet. If they do, watch out.
Yeah, all right. Jerome Hughes, we've spoken about him all week. It's just remarkable what he was able to do in that preliminary final, and the fact he's going to back it up. I got no idea how you could do it.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about that was he really tested it. The way he pushed away for that try, using the arm, I thought, he's off and gone. But he was so important, wasn't he? And that clash on the weekend, Reynolds, that's another big one. Reynolds and Hughes, and then how Michael Maguire uses Ezra Mann. That's a big key because you look at this Bellamy Madge, it's amazing. 14-2 to Bellamy. It's one of those big ones, and that's what I said. The Storms won 17 of the past 19 against the Bronx. But it was round 27. The Broncos did take care of him when Hughes broke his arm, incidentally. But I just think it's one of those games you're just going to watch and just be in awe of.
Just listening to you, though, Sul, you have a leaning towards the Storm?
Yeah, I'm not going to change, Diggers. We threw them out in our season predictions way back in March, didn't we? So I'm not going to change now. I know this Broncos side, they found a little bit of form, but the key, as I just said then, you cannot give sides leads. And this is the big one against the side that I always call them the boa constrictors, don't they? They just suffocate you. But this Broncos side, they've got points in them, and it's how they react. Mate, let's be totally serious. I can't wait to watch the two number ones because you go back. You've got Reece Walsh. You go back to 2020 when they last won the comp. Ryan Papenhuyzen won the Clive Churchill medal. There's 3 left from that side. Munster, Hughes, Papenhuyzen. He was a boy then. But these two fullbacks, it's a big stage, and we all know they love a big stage.
Well, have you had much to do with Craig Bellamy?
Yeah, I know Craig. Yep.
Just remarkable what he's been able to do with that club.
Mate, it's amazing. When 23 years he's been there, finals 22, and now 11 grand finals. It's incredible, isn't it? What they've done, and the end of that. On the other foot, Michael Maguire's the drought breaker, Diggers. when you think about it. Wigan Warriors, South Sydney, New Zealand, when he was coaching the New Zealand side, we saw what he did for Origin last year with New South Wales. 19 years since the Broncos won. He's up and about too, Madge. He's pretty happy. He said, I've got them where I want them. It's up to them now.
It's vindication, is it not, for the Broncos hierarchy, because they made that tough call to say to Kevy Walters, not for you going forward, but we're going to install a disciplinarian, a bloke who can get the most out of what we perceive to be a very talented locker room.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head the way you said, the disciplinarian. We all know Kevy's got that little bit of larrikin in him. That's the end of the day what bit him on the you-know-what, I reckon, because, he's turned them into this. There was complaints at the start of the year, he's too tough. Geez, haven't those blokes got back into the forest quick? We haven't heard from them, Buzz Rothfield and the like.
Yes.
But both very similar because at the end of the day, Madge is one of Craig Bellamy's as apprentice. That's where he learned his trade, down there. And you've got to remember, Craig Bellamy learned his trade off Wayne Bennett at the Broncos. That's where he got the coaching, well, what's the word for the coaching flavour? That was it. He was up at the Broncos for a long time under Wayne Bennett, and now we've got the apprentice in Maguire up against Bellamy. So it just states it. And your two sides are in good nick. That's the bottom line.
All right, bets. How do we make money?
Well, I'm going to go. What are we around $3? I think the Storm 1 to 12. Right. More than happy with that. Katoa, he's been our man all year, Diggers.
Yes.
Eli Katoa from the Storm. So first try scorer, he's $12. Anytime he's $2.70. Now, I'm going to go on anytime try scorer for the Broncos. He's coming off the bench. Ezra Mann. Now, he's $4.50 to score any time. Wind the clock back 2 years. We know what he did. His broken play for the Broncos nearly won that game by itself. So I'm more than happy to play there. Clive Churchill medal. I'm going to go Harry Grant, $7, lads. And if the Broncos do win it, bit of redemption for this bloke, Ben Hunt, at 21s, but I'm going to go Harry Grant at 7s.
$7 for the medal. Ben Hunt, $21, you say?
Yeah, he's 21. If the Broncos can get up, Benny Hunt he'll start in the halves, then he'll go to 9, and that'll be interesting to see how it goes.
All right, and $12 for Ali Katoa for the first goal scorer there for the Storm. Beautiful, Sully. Look forward to it, and you'll be on Sunday morning. Any late changes and all that sort of stuff, you'll be able to update the team on the aftermath.
Yeah, and we can have a look at the other games on Sunday morning. Of course, the NRLW, Roosters v Broncos, and the Burleigh Bears taking on the New Zealand Warriors in the National Championship as well. So look forward to chatting to the boys there.
All right, beautiful. Enjoy the weekend.
Stay safe, lads.
There we go. There's James Sullivan with his plays for the NRL Grand Final.
Big game. Can't wait, to be fair. Two sides. You've probably got some sort of a contrast in styles. The Broncos like to score. The Storm initially, their first thought is to stifle you. So it's going to be a cracker. It is going to be a cracker. The unique part of this is, TC, is the NRL tried to dodge the AFL Grand Final, and for good reason. So you had the Melbourne Storm play on a Friday night, and then you had the Broncos playing on a Sunday afternoon. Like that, is that extra couple of days going to prove beneficial at the back end of a gruelling season? We'll have to wait and see, but I think you'd give a team an opportunity to have 2 days more break than their opposition, wouldn't you? If you offered
both play on Sunday.
No, well, I think unfortunately it's just the way it is. One has to play Friday, one has to play Sunday, but and both were at home, so they didn't have to travel. I'm sure if you went to Craig Bellamy and Michael Maguire and said, "Do you want a 9-day break or a 7-day break?" You're taking the 9, aren't you? Yeah,
exactly right. You get the day of rest. You get the day to watch your opponents, do a little bit of scouting, and then you're back to training.
And you've done your recovery. Yeah. You've done your recovery by Monday morning. You're ready. You're done.
To go. Yep.
Whereas the Bronco boys on a physical game are, waking up Monday morning, going through their recovery, and then getting ready to fly to Sydney. But, yeah, can't wait. It's going to be a cracker.
Chatting racing next, Nick Ashman, Julian Vallance to join us as well, and then we'll take a look at the Hannons and also the Golden Saddle from a form perspective, along with the Kalgoorlie Cup on Saturday.
Wake Tab Radio, your station of choice. Each weekday morning from 5:30 with the Sports Daily.
Catch up with Nick Ashman very shortly to chat about this meeting at Randwick on Saturday. We'll also talk about the Hannons and the Golden Saddle post 7:30. Plenty of feature racing here in WA coming up over the next couple of days. But before then, we'll catch up with Jules Vallance from Foxcatcher. We haven't spoken about it too much yet, Diggers, but this Turnbull Stakes, what an absolute cracking edition of the race. We'll dive into the form now with Jules. Good morning to you, Jules.
G'day, boys. How are we?
Very well, Jules. Great to chat again on this Thursday morning. We are looking at an outstanding Turnbull Stakes, are we not?
Yeah, we sure are. It's littered with some quality horses, and they're all, you'd think now probably ready to rock and roll. So I don't think there'll be many excuses left on the table after Saturday in terms of performance. So I think we might get a generally run race too, boys. We probably didn't get it in the Mackay a few weeks ago with a few of these horses, but I think the inclusion of River of Stars probably means I think there's going to be some genuine tempo. So 2,000 metres, maybe for the first time for a few of them in their prep, there'll be no hiding.
All right, $2.50 Via Sustina, $4.80 Serdelius and Aliana, $11 about Antino, and Half Jet at $11 with Tab Touch. Do we have a bet in the race?
I'm backing Half Jet. I'm going to back him again.
Yep.
I think he just maps perfectly. Obviously, I speak of Half Yours, who we're sort of really keen on for the Caulfield Cup. But I just think he's had a go at 2,000 metres this prep, and none really have others. I know Sir Delius was 1,800 metres, but I'm really worried about that Underwood Stakes form. And I just don't know. I think probably Craig has to roll forward with Sir Delius and probably sits outside the leader, River of Stars. And these others are coming out of a really slowly run 1,600 metres. Now, whether Waller has trained the wheels off Via Sustina and Aliana, and maybe he did that in the lead-up to the Mackay, which is why they didn't sprint so quickly, that's possible. He's such a master trainer, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's done that and they're ready to rock and roll at this 2,000 metres. But if this is a really genuine, fast-run 2,000 metres, then those horses coming out of that soft 1,600 metres that haven't been trained accordingly might just be found out, especially late. And that's where I think Half Yours comes out of a really fast-run 2,000 metres naturalism. Maps in the first six. I know it's probably, not really a weight for age horse yet, but geez, I reckon he gets his opportunity on Saturday.
What do you reckon the market will do as we get closer to jump time, Jules?
Really interesting, because I was surprised how heavily it was with Via Sustina in the Mackay. Just the setup was a bit ho-hum, but I mean, she ended up SPing around $1.65, $1.70. I don't know. I feel like she's got this big number that's always going to be anchored to her from the Cox Plate. And so the bigger dogs are always going to have that number in their mind that they can push back to that number, which no other horse has got close to. To be honest, she hasn't got close to it either since. So that's always there in the back of my mind with when you're looking at what the market's going to do. But I just feel like there's another reservation that maybe they think she might not ever get back to that. And if she doesn't, then does she touch sort of around $3? I think Aliana's the one that'll be rock solid throughout betting. I don't think the market's going to spit it out. I'll be fascinated. I wouldn't be surprised if Sir Delius probably gets a little bit soft from that sort of 480 sort of mark that it is now. I just think they might bin that Underwood Stakes form line. And other than that, I think probably Half Yours, probably remains solid. But, yeah, it's tricky to see what they do, even with a horse like Antino, who, now gets to 2,000 metres, third run prep, has to show something. But, he's been building up to it. The market hasn't really been wanted to be with him. Are they going to be with him on Saturday? I'm not sure. But it's really interesting to see what they do with Via Sustina, because, as I said, she's got this anchorage down from the Cox Plate last year. Are they eventually going to say, no, that's the outlier? We now need to find another mark for her.
All right, so $11 about Half Yours. We're betting now, or we don't need a rush, probably going to stay around that mark?
I don't think you need to rush now. Yeah, I don't think you need to rush now. I don't think the market really smashes the guts out of this horse. I will say, there is a possibility that I don't think he can start anywhere around $7 or $8. If he does, well then, the Caulfield Cup's over. But he'll be finishing top three on Saturday. But I think they probably just, they're going to probably gravitate towards these proven way for age horses on Saturday, but you never know because he does come out of a really fast run, 2,000-metre naturals, and if the speed mappers have got this is a really fast run race, well, they might trend towards him.
Jules, sometimes the Danehill can be a little bit ho-hum in all due respect. Not this year. This is a very, very good running of it, is it not?
I'm not so sure.
Okay.
To be honest.
Just because of the 3-year-olds?
I think this is a really interesting. I mean, you look at. I was a bit worried about the 3-year-olds overall, and then Baylock comes out and does a massive number in the Golden Rose last week. So he's, I think, the clear-cut sort of Coolmore horse, and usually the horse that comes out of the Danehill is the one from the other form line that you sort of marry up and go, okay, well, they're going to be the Coolmore stud stakes horses. Rosberg's got this massive, massive spruik on it. Now, it's a colt, so it's always buyer beware when you hear spruiks for colts. He was outstanding winning on debut, but the number wasn't very good. The figure was only plain. But what you can see is your eye could tell you that this horse has got so much more probably to give, being that it was its debut run in a stakes race. That's pretty hard to be able to do. And then you've got the one at the top, Tenturus, who could be a really nice horse. But the others we've sort of seen a bit. We've seen the Tycoon Star. We've seen the Jimmy Ricard. Legacy Bound, I know it's 3 from 3, but again, it's not lighting up the page in terms of, rating. So I think it'll be fascinating to see. I'm really interested to see what Rosberg does now at its second race start. I think for the hope of the team that are involved with that horse, you probably want it to come out and win again to justify the lofty expectations they have for it. But yeah, I'm not suggesting that these are all going to be world beaters. That's for sure.
All right, so no bets there in the Danehill.
I want to watch this race. This is I think this is probably about the only race that I'm not probably going to play in. That and the Gill guy. I have definitely littered the punt. That's for sure. This Saturday because I really like the meeting and it's really competitive. But probably going to stay away from this one and the Gill guy.
All right. I know you're going to stay away from the Gill guy in terms of the punt, but clearly we're interested over here with West Star, who gets to Melbourne for Simon Miller to be ridden by Damien Lane. Do you give him an outside chance?
Give him a really good outside chance. I think he's probably, if I want to put it this way, it's definitely going into my quaddie.
Okay.
I like to play quaddies on these big days. I think there's some, bit of guts about them, and it's definitely going in. So I like the numbers that it's producing, probably draws a nice sort of gate for how this track might play. Damien Lane in the saddle, which I love, so it can be really competitive in a really pretty strong, hot race. I mean, a few of these horses will probably be thinking, if we can win this, an Everest slot possibly opens up, and I probably speak of, in particular, War Machine. So, no, I think it's mighty competitive. I give this horse a great chance in a race like this.
All right, with Tab Touch currently, West Star at $13. That's race number 9 on the program there at Flemington. Where else do we head for a couple of bets on the day?
Yeah, I think we go to the Bart Cummings. So you win and then you get into the Melbourne Cup. And I've got the Melbourne Cup being a light year this year. And I think this horse right down the bottom called Gilded Water just is the right horse. Now, we've got Revelare at the top of the weights in this race, and he's already assured of a Melbourne Cup. I think this race is really thin. I think they're the two winning hopes, but I'm massively keen on Gilded Water. Unfortunately, the market sort of identified and he's pretty short, around that 230, 240 mark, but you could sort of have him even shorter than that. Wouldn't be surprised if he's absolutely truckloaded. Wide gate, not too worried about that. Just a massive drop in weight for this horse. I think probably they go forward. D-Day for it. You win, you get into the Melbourne Cup. Because it's got a rating so low, they just can't waste runs here for this horse. So I think it comes out and it wins impressively and probably becomes a major player in the first Tuesday in November.
Anything else?
In race 4, there's a filly called Just a Journey. So James McDonald in the saddle. It's a 1,600-metre race for fillies. I've sort of got just a slight knock on the Victorian filly form, so I wanted a different form line, and this is the horse that gives it to me. So Just a Journey, I've marked it much shorter than sort of 360, 370. I think there might be out there in the marketplace at the moment for Just a Journey. I think it can control the speed. Yep. James McDonald in the saddle, I think it's really hard to beat.
All right, log into your Tab Touch account, Jules. $3.80 I can give you there, race 4, number 5, Just a Journey. Thank you very much for your time. We'll do it all again next week, and everyone can catch up with your stuff on Foxcatcher, on the Instabang and the YouTube and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely, and big day at the Osborne on Saturday, so I know those people coming over from Perth, you might as well start walking now. 12 o'clock till 6 o'clock, we'll be there all night as well, so however long it takes you to get here, don't worry, we'll still be there.
Good on you, Jules. Thanks, mate.
See you guys.
There's Jules Vallance from Foxcatcher taking a look at that Flemington meeting. So in the Turnbull, having a bet on half yours at around the $11. In race number 7, the Bart Cummings Gilded Water at $2.60. And then also the horse he just mentioned there, Just a Journey at $3.80 with Tab Touch in race number 4. Time now on the Sports Daily to catch up with Nick Ashman from the Beaten Favourite. Nick, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, boys. Epsom Handicap Day in Sydney. 3 Group 1s at Randwick. Of course, got the Turnbull down in Flemington. It's a little bit of D-Day. They used to call this the sort of the day where you find out where horses are really at. There's some grand finals going on, and we learn a little bit more about these horses progressing towards races like the Melbourne Cup, Cox Plate, and up here in Sydney, of course, we've got the Everest in a couple of weeks' time, and we've got the Premiere on Saturday. And Jimmy Starr, well, is he poised to fight back after a disappointing run first up? Time will tell.
We'll get your thoughts on that very, very shortly. But just before we dive into the form for the Epsom, you mentioned last week that you might have a special for our listeners?
Yeah, that's right. Look, just jump on. Unfortunately, it's not just for the listeners, but we will have a discount for you guys a little bit later on. But right now, what you can do is we've got a tip sheet that we send out to our subscribers. It covers Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane every Saturday. Last week we opted for the Valley instead of Brisbane, the Valley being Friday night. It gives you the track walker information for the 3 states or the 3 venues and our top 2 tips for every race. So I think Sandown last Saturday, they were 5 from the first 5. Going really well. And there is a bloke who subscribes to our service who keeps a track of all of our tips, so he keeps us honest. He reckons that Sydney, Melbourne going around 7 to 9% profit on turnover. So they are pretty good tips. Brisbane, I think, is only waning at around 1% profitability. So maybe if you do get the sheep, focus mainly on Sydney and Melbourne. But certainly it's a bit of fun anyway.
All right. Now, there is some really big racing in Sydney and Melbourne this week, as you alluded to, Nick. And Autumn Glow is all the talk, understandably so, as she heads towards the Epsom. She will, though, jump from barrier 14.
Yeah, look, it's not that big a disadvantage, guys, jumping from out there. There's been a bit of narrative on socials. Most of your listeners probably would have already found out some of the statistics, but I just thought I'd give you some information on those wide gates. So I wouldn't worry about it. 8 of the last 13 winners have jumped from a double-digit barrier. It's not really a big negative. There's a long run to the first turn, and with that rail in the true position, our information is that the first sort of 2 or 3 lanes will be a little bit inferior anyway. So we tend to think that probably the bulk of the winners at Randwick on Saturday are going to come from lanes 4 to 10, and I think probably those mid to wide jaws might even have a slight advantage. So I'm not too worried about that with her. She's been dubbed Baby Winks. She's unbeaten in 6 runs. She's got an electric turn of foot. If there is a little query, it's just going to the mile for the first time. I don't have an issue with a horse sitting wide with cover, 3 wide with cover over a Randwick mile when the fence is off. But when you're on trial at the trip, and I'm not suggesting for a second she won't run 1,600 metres, but it's her first go at it. It's the hardest race she's contested, and she's probably just going to cover a little bit of extra ground. So that's why you're getting, 230, 240, 250 around the place. But I think it's a bet at that price. I've marked her a lot shorter. I've marked her in the red. I think the market will come for her once they see that the rail is off, and I expect her to win, guys. And the big question becomes then, where do they go next? I mean, imagine if they announced post-race, if she was to win, that they're going to go to a Cox Plate. Where does that position her in terms of the Cox Plate rankings? One would have to think she'd be on the first 2 or 3 lines of betting.
Do your ratings have her on the first 2 or 3 lines of betting?
Yeah, the thing with her, she's just got that plus next to her name where we haven't yet worked out her ceiling. We know roughly where VS Sistina sits. Obviously, she's got a huge peak rating from the Cox Plate last year. She hasn't got back to that number ever since then, or even going into it. It was a real outlier. But she's run a lot of figures in and around a certain number.
Aliana's progressing, and I think, once she gets out to 2,000 metres on Saturday in the Turnbull, we'll see her go to a peak figure this campaign. But her peak number was at 2,400 metres. Autumn Glow, the query for her will be when you get to the Cox Plate, even if she brains them in the Epsom handicap, is she's gone first go 1,600 metres with 54.5. Now you'll be saying in the Cox Plate she's got to go first go 2,040 metres with 56.5 or 56 kilos or whatever they carry down there. So it's just another ask for her, but I would say that she would be... Look, I would back her to win the Cox Plate if she wins the Epsom on Saturday, put it that way.
All right. You spoke about the other group ones too, the Metropolitan Soul of Spain, as we chat here at the moment. Nick, $5.50 favourite. Birdman at $6.50, $9 changing in the guard. Travolta's also in single figures. Vauban, he's at $10. What are we thinking about the Metropolitan?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting race, this one. From a pace perspective, changing of the guard probably gets the lead on his own. There are a few horses like Piggyback and Jujukibo, Arapaho drawn wide, so they're going to have to work out what they're going to do early doors. I thought the Newcastle Cup, the Kingston Town's been a really good lead-up. I think it's provided 4 of the last 5 or 6 winners of the Metropolitan, and they ran very fast overall time in the Kingston Town. And the winner, Birdman, was only third up from a spell and no doubt has got some improvement to come. But they were pretty weak to the line as well. They didn't run very good closing splits. So you'd like to hope that he's going to improve a bit. I thought the Newcastle Cup was a really nice lead-up. The race shape was very, exactly what I looked for in a lead-up run. They didn't go overly hard early. They accelerated late, and I've got no issue with the winner, Soul of Spain, up to 2,400 metres. He's won over 3,600 metres, I think, when he was overseas. And the runner-up, Royal Supremacy, I'm convinced is not as sharp as Soul of Spain, and I think he would have liked a more truly run contest. So I think he'll get a faster run race on Saturday. I think if you just back those 2 horses, that you'll go pretty close. Both of them nicely weighted down on 50 and 50.5. Both trained by particularly good staying stables in Chris Waller and Kieran Maher. Robbie Dolan, the Melbourne Cup winner, winning jockey from last year, is in the saddle of Royal Supremacy. And Zach Lloyd, well, he doesn't need too many introductions. He left his apprenticeship and he's just gone to another level as a senior rider. So I think they're the 2 for me in the Metropolitan.
Nick, is the market bang on with Apocalyptic in the Flight Stakes?
Oh, it is. Look, she was $2 and even $2.20 about a week ago, and I made the comment, I think, on the Beaten Favourite podcast that if you look at her, if you isolate the figures she ran in the T-Rose, you would think that might be a bit skinny. But the thing is she was purely dominant over those fillies in that race, and they all pretty much meet again here. I mean, other than Reflect and Magenta Skies coming off Provincial Maidens straight to Group 1, most of these other horses she raced in the T-Rose. So it's hard to sort of see them turning the tables on her. She was strong through the line against them. And really, I think it's just a case of bad luck gets her beaten. I did, reading through some past literature about the stable and what they had to say about Apocalyptic, they did have concerns about her going up in trip last season. So when I look at her sectionals, to me she screams a miler. But they did have some reservations about her going out and trip. So maybe that's something just to keep in the back of your head before you pile into the $1.80 about her.
All right, what about the Premier Stakes at $1.95? Briasa, Jimmy Starr, you referenced him a little bit earlier on in the chat. He's second favourite currently at $3.80.
I think it's a 2-horse race. The market's got it right. I'd be prepared to give Jimmy another go here. Look, Briasa's probably still yet to reach his absolute peak. Jimmy got a long way back. He had the big weight, 60.5 kilos in the Concord Stakes, 1,000 metres. He just got back into an awkward position. He's won a trial since. I think, if you look second up in the autumn, he got a long way back in that William Reid at Moonee Valley on a day we had to be up on top of the speed. Second up the prep before that, he won the Weekend Hustler. Point I'm making here is he goes well second up. This is his sternest test. Second up from a spell. I think Briasa would have won the William Reid in the autumn. But I think he can bounce back here. Just with that rail being a bit inferior and having the wider draw over Briasa, I expect him to travel into the race 3 wide. And I think Briasa will probably be covered up by Jettabelle in that position. So just from a map perspective, I'm going to go Jimmy Star to cause a little bit of a minor upset over Briasa.
All right, what's your overarching best of the day or best couple of the day there on a massive afternoon at Randwick, Nick?
It's such a hard day to sort of really nut out one particular bet, isn't it? But I look, for me, I've got to go with, I'm going to stick with the obvious, and that's Autumn Glow. I think we might look back and say, how did we let a horse like this go around at $2.30 or $40 or whatever she is currently? She has that massive X factor. I believe she could be the best horse in the country, and I mean no disrespect to her stablemates, Bea Sistina and Aliana, and even a host of other horses who are putting their hand up for that spot. But she could be something incredibly special. She's got 54.5 kilos. She gets out. She's drawn a wide gate, but I think it just means we get a better price about her. And I've got her marked well into the red. So I think from a market percentage point of view, for those who understand that, she's got to be your best play of the day.
All right, you've convinced me, Nick. Thank you very much. Just give a shout out to that special once again.
Yeah, just jump onto thebeatenfavourite.com and just head to the free tips. There's a tab that says free tips. Just chuck in your email. Just ask for your first name, last name, and your email. Tomorrow morning, you'll get the tip sheet. It'll tell you how the 3 venues are going to play from a track walker perspective. And fingers crossed we get a few winners, guys. It's all free.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Nick. Look forward to already doing it again next week.
Absolutely, boys. Talk to you then.
Make Tab Radio your station of choice. Each weekday morning from 5:30 with the Sports Daily.
You're with Taylor Cortland and Digby Beecham on the Sports Daily this morning. We're about to take a little bit of a deep dive into the feature races at Kalgoorlie over the next couple of days from a form perspective. Hopefully find you a couple of winners. Today, though, Diggers, the listeners are taking you on at the KBRC for a chance to win a $100 Tap Touch voucher.
That they are, TC, and my best comes up in the last there for Lucy and Peter. Race 8, number 3, Lavish Charm, was 2.30 a little while ago, remains 2.30. Mystical Wisdom is the scratching, but I just thought Lavish Charm off that excellent maiden victory last start could go there and win again.
I had correspondence with someone a little bit earlier that said it should be $1.40.
Right, okay. Is that person a good judge?
Good's probably a strong word.
Okay, so 2.30 is the right quote then.
He's a judge.
He's a judge. He's a judge. I'm not sure he's got
Judge
the
Judy.
IQ of being a judge.
G'day, Matt Nowlin. Good morning. So Nick Ashman and Jules Vallance, if you've missed their analysis of the key races there in Melbourne and Sydney over the weekend, you can head to tabradio.com.au, listen to the podcast there, or wherever you like to listen to your podcast, just search the Sports Daily. They'll be up a little bit later this morning. But Nick was pretty keen on the chances on Autumn Glow. Continues to be a little bit easy in the market. I think close to touching $2.30 as well. And he said he marked it pretty short and might be the best horse in the country.
Well, I listened to Karen McAvoy yesterday driving to golf post this show. I think he did an interview with Dave Stanley, and he was really keen, obviously, to be riding Autumn Glow. And you get the impression that James McDonald thought Autumn Glow would have been a terrific Group 1 ride as well, but he was overruled by Chris Waller and said, no, you're staying in Melbourne, or you're heading down to Melbourne to ride Via Sistina. Now, if James McDonald is willing to ride 54.5, which I think the mare has got in the Epsom, and give up the ride on the reigning horse of the year in Via Sistina, it probably gives you a really good guide on how highly all the wise men and women rate Autumn Glow.
It would be fantastic for racing for Autumn Glow to go there to the Ebbs and be dominant, and then they say in the couple of days post, we're going to the Cox Plate.
Yes.
What a race that would be.
It would. Oh, well, it's already a great race, isn't it? But that would be enormous.
That would be awesome.
You wouldn't put it past Chris Waller.
No.
Or certainly the owners to say to Chris, I'd love for this mare.
Well, at the end of the day, the owners get the say, don't they?
Well, they do. And particularly that ownership group with John Massara, Arrowfield. We know Miss Finland went there as a...
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep.
Race number 9 as well for Nick Ashman. He liked the 2-bet play. Royal Supremacy was around that $11 mark, and then Soul of Spain, the favourite for the Metrop at $5.50. You like to play that form line of the Newcastle Cup. And then Jules Vallance, half yours. He's, as we know last week, he's just all in on this horse. $11 in the Turnbull. He's having a little play there on the way to a Caulfield Cup Race 7, Gilded Water, who's around $2.60 currently with Tab Touch. And then in race 4, he liked number 5, Just a Journey, at $3.80. If you miss Sully, he's with the Storm in the grand final at 3.10, 1-12. The Storm at 1-12. First try scorer, Ali Katoa at $12. Anytime try scorer, Ezra Marm at $4.50. And then a couple of bets for the Clive Churchill medal. Mostly keen on Harry Grant at $7, but also going to have a little something on Ben Hunt at $21. All right, the Retrovision text line, there was one here. We'll start with that. Rick from Rossmoyne's text in. Diggers, I like Fast Flicker in the Hannons today, but not fancied by the tipsters. Your assessment?
No, a huge hope. It has to be a huge hope, Fast Flicker, and has met with support. Has the ability to use excellent speed out of the gates. Now, there is a bit of tempo in this race, I thought. Cool Memory looks like, being all over the speed. He's an on-speed runner. We spoke to Tony Triscari yesterday. He indicated that they would look for a positive spot with Fast Flicker. I'm just in the back of my mind, I've got those words of Peter Fernie when we asked the question, how do you think this track plays tomorrow when you get the warm weather? And he said there is a forecast northerly, and when you get that at Kalgoorlie, horses with cover are best suited. That's not saying you can't lead and win, or you can't breeze and win. But if the weather holds true and they are getting northerlies up there in Kalgoorlie, I think you need to be mindful of that.
So how does the Hannons play out today? Cool Memory, you mentioned, will go forward.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Does his best racing up on speed.
What do they do with multinational?
I think you've just got to chance your arm. Don't you? Just go forward.
Well, that's the way he races, yeah.
And then you've got Secret Attraction drawn under Cool Memory and Rockanori, who I expected to try and hold a spot. 1,400 metres. They won't want to give up those barriers. Won't want to get too far back in the field, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I'd agree with that. Rockanori looks like from that gate he's going to be able to tag Cool Memory. Now, Cool Memory is $3.10 with Tab Touch and your favourite. That's a perfect horse to be following, you would think, in a listed $150,000 Hannons.
Yep,
surely.
Absolutely. Yep. And then drawn a little bit out wide of Fluoro Neuro and Fast Flicker. I know what Tony said yesterday, but I struggled to map them, struggled to find a spot for them in the map because Secret Attire doesn't get too far back. It's drawn underneath them. We'll look for a posi, not going to be sort of up on speed, but going to be settling midfield. And then Coley drawn 1,400 on the fresher side. How close he can be. Can he hold that three-back defence spot? That's probably the question mark. If Coley can't hold three-back defence, then maybe Fluoro Neuro and Fast Flicker might be able to find a spot. But if so, they might be the ones sort of leading that three-wide, no-cover train. So I thought it was a little bit tricky for Fast Flicker and Fluoro Neuro, but looking at the race holistically, I thought it's a pretty tough one to work out.
Yeah, the more and more I've looked at this race, I've convinced myself that Secret Attraction, if they so desire, can land 1-1.
Yeah, that's where I had the horse.
And I think if you've got a horse coming into this race, now, does she race outside the handicap? Absolutely she does. Does she drop from 61 kilos to 54 and get here second up? Tick, tick. So she's fitter. And I know she hasn't won beneath a mile, this mare, but she has been aimed up at this race, and you mentioned yesterday, TC, and it's a salient point. When she was last at 1,400 metres, she raced behind a couple of handy ones.
Yep.
One of those being Generosity.
Yep.
Now we know that Generosity is going over there, or has gone over there to the East Coast and performed very well. We saw that in the autumn, and she ran particularly well over there after running super in a quokka, and most recently, ran in a hot race, a hot sprint race behind some very good ones and wasn't disgraced. Now, that was over a shorter trip than this, but I just think Secret Attraction on the minimum, 54 kilos today after carrying 61, and on that occasion, Secret Attire had her back and was able to zap her.
Yeah. Yep, exactly right. It wasn't, ratings-wise, it wasn't far off her absolute best, and that's on the break of 162 days. So if that hasn't taken too much out of her with the 61 kilos and with the map advantage, you expect she's going to be able to get in a race where the tempo looks pretty steady. It's going to be pretty genuine with Cool Memory out in front. I thought, you don't sort of love backing horses out of the handicap, but I thought she represented. If she's north of $4, I think she's a bet.
And she's 420 now, so she's been a little bit easy, which is somewhat concerning. And I'm not saying Cool Memory is completely and utterly legless. on top of the ground. He is a winner on top of the ground, Cool Memory. So there's no blue there, but he is most effective when he can get his toe in, and he's not going to get that today. It is a good 4, and Peter Fernie is talking about how lush that is, that track. But this is race 7 on a warm day. He's going to strike a surface which is considerably firmer than what he's been encountering, Cool Memory. But he is going to be turning for home and giving a kick.
Yeah, he was in the right part of the track last time and he won. And ratings-wise, he ran a number that was enormous, that was sort of stands out on his profile. So whether or not he's able to back that up with the reasons behind it that you mentioned, that was sort of my query. That was a rating out of the blue for him, Cool Memory, coming off a peak performance. So he does need to back that up. I thought the other horse that could play a part, and hopefully for this horse's sake, the track is going to play like Peter Fernie expects it to, Russian to the Bar, I think can play a part. Down on the minimum, horse with a nice turn of foot. We go back last preparation. Run behind Bonjoy. That form's very good. Was beaten less than a length by Bonjoy on one occasion. Some of the numbers he's been able to run good, but clearly the question mark is how well is he going this preparation, because we're not too sure. We haven't got a line. You just put a line through that heavy 8 run, didn't like it, didn't enjoy it one bit, was beaten by a significant length, so you just rule a line through that. If he's anywhere near his best, Luke Fernie up there today, I think he can play a part. He's around the $10. So I'll be backing Secret Attraction and Russian at the Bar as well.
Yeah, look, respectfully, I reckon there's 3 horses that would be a shock should they win this race. Coley, multinational by virtue of where he gets in the run, and I think Secret Attire, weights and measures, says it might be beyond her. Fluoro Neuro, back on top of the ground, has to carry the 58.5, but you go back 2 starts ago, at weight for age, ran behind Fanta on a day when Fanta was truckloaded. It was bomb leaders, went back, got to the line nicely, and then I think you disregard that heavy track run. Cool Memory, most definitely. Rockanori, last start, good winner, and he's going to lob in a perfect spot. Fast flicker, needs to be respected. Captain Chaos is going okay. Mm-hmm. If the Cosmic Crusader form line is something that we're going to reference as we get deep into the spring/summer, you need to respect Captain Chaos, albeit he is double figures. Russian to the Bar for the reasons that you've outlined, and also Secret Attraction. It's a very even Hannon's handicap, I thought.
Are you betting? Oh, you can't bet. Are you tipping strongly?
I am with Secret Attraction here.
Okay, yeah.
So race 7, number 11, that is the way I'm going for Lucy and Peter.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, I'll be backing Secret Attraction, and I'll be having something on Russian to the Bar as well, hoping he can get back to some of his best form, because that's clearly good enough. I'm not sure about you, Diggers, but I'm a little bit more confident about the Golden Saddle.
Who's the best horse in this race?
Oh, Magnificent Andy.
Yeah. Who's the proven weight for age performer in this race?
Magnificent Andy.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the only nag I have, and I'm not sure whether it's justified or not, is the 1200 at this stage of his career. Is it going to be too sharp? But S.J. Miller is as shrewd as they come. And the recent trial was terrific. He's had a couple there. He said he'll always go there fresh. He'll get there first up and ready to run the race of his life for a big payday. And if S.J. Miller is of that view that that's the best way to go, that's good enough for me.
Well, if he's anywhere near the form that he was first up last time in a quokka, being beaten a length Joker's Grin head wall, wow, that form's just superior.
It is. And the
most recent trial was good. No headgear on. Was able to make ground late in that trial. Was strong enough late. I think you'll clearly improve going to the races. First up, headgear on. Brad Parnham, soft draw in a race where it looks like they're going to run along.
Oh, they'll skitch. They will seriously skitch in this race. Absolutely,
which I think suits him.
Yeah, agree. Like there'll be stages in this race on Saturday when you go, geez, you're fair way off them. Naturally, I think if they burn like we think they'll burn. You got Final Sirens quick, King Adviso's drawn 1, Bravo Centurion's drawn barrier 10. Braden's got no option but to punch from there. They'll march, absolutely they'll march. So Magnificent Andy is going to be spotting those leaders a fair margin halfway through this race, but he'll be strong at the back end of it. And as you said, he's got that beautiful gait.
Yeah, he just needs to run anywhere. Like, I don't think he needs to repeat that performance in the Quokka. He could be a length or two below that sort of performance and he'll still be awfully hard to beat. In a Golden Saddle on Saturday, he gets the perfect draw. I think the obvious danger is Twain's Angel, who had a quiet trial first up, and then second trial I thought was much better. She clearly won a Joey. Last time we saw her at the races over 1,200 metres, that form certainly good enough. Probably stronger than a lot of these other horses take to the races. I thought she was the danger, and she probably settles almost alongside Magnificent Andy in the run.
Yeah, I just thought the recent trial was good without being brilliant. It was a considerable improvement on the initial trial, without question. On the same day, in that trial, I thought Hardie, the stablemate, trialled better. Now, he's rock hard fit. That was a tick-over trial. I get that. 1,200 metres, is that right in his wheelhouse? No, it's not. But he's drawn soft. Personally, I'd have a leaning towards Hardie finishing in front of Twain's Angel, notwithstanding the points that you've made. They're very, very relevant in regards to Twain's Angel, 1,200, and also Weight for Age.
Weight for Age and a real 1,200 metre test for Hardie?
Concern, no doubt. But you're getting a double-figure quote to find out.
Yeah, I think you can sort of punch holes in a little bit of the form and you can find reasons to be against a lot of these horses in this race, but Magnificent Andy just stands out like a sore thumb for mine.
Yeah.
If he starts with a 3 in front of his name, I'd be surprised.
You think they will really come for him?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I think so. Yonga Lass, clearly going along well. Fresh form, very good.
Yep.
It's very good in the Joey. The gate hurts.
Yeah, it does. She's a dynamite fresh mare, little mare.
She does need to get back. That's when we've seen her race her best. When she's sort of just left alone and then she hits the line really hard. But as we mentioned, she's just going to be a mile off them.
Yeah, she's going to. She'll be rattling home. That's the thing. This race is probably going to be run in two parts, isn't it? There's the leaders, and they'll be burning, and they'll be marching, and at some stage you'll be going, oh, hello.
And then the peloton.
And then exactly right. Then there's the swoopers, and they'll be stomping home, and you'll be looking everywhere for which horse is going to salute. But no, it's an intriguing race. But the questions that we posed and you answered them. The best Weight for Age horse, by virtue of that, the best horse in this race. It is the one carrying the number one saddle cloth, and that is Magnificent Andy.
And the thing that fills you with a little bit more confidence too is S.J. Miller's had the horse set for this race for quite some time.
Correct.
The only time that he's sort of been disappointing in the last 4 or 5 preparations was first up at Belmont about this time last year on those tracks that were probably really unsuitable. Outside of that, his form, you can't really punch any holes in it whatsoever from 1,200 to 1,600 metres. So pretty confident Magnificent Andy goes there in good form. He should be able to take care of the Golden Saddle and win another feature race. If there's one at knockouts for maybe first fours, I thought Rissol's back on top of the ground, soft draw, fast run 12. Look, like a lot of other these horses, you need to step up to Weight for Age, no doubt. But she's been able to produce some numbers fresh that have been good enough in her career to sort of play a part in the finish. Top 4, I say. I'd be surprised if she's able to beat Magnificent Andy home, but I think she's got a nice enough turn of foot at 1,200 metres to play a part. She just needs to transfer that to Weight for Age.
What do we do with Storm Chaser, who was all the rage off the back of that excellent fresh run, and then things just didn't go according to plan? He was underwhelming the other start. Now, he's drawn sticky and he's a get-back horse anyway, so I'm not sure that's the issue. But what do we do there?
Well, it's an issue for me, punting-wise. I don't think he can. He's probably going to have to spot a horse like Magnificent Andy and Twain's Angel a couple of lengths. Is he going to be able to run past those horses at Weight for Age?
Yeah,
let alone, the rest of the field.
I think he's a horse who's always flashed enormous potential. Luke's had a huge opinion of him now. I think he might have had a bout of colic surgery, and since then he's perhaps been a little bit sensitive. But Weight for Age in a good race, I think, 12, 18 months ago, we all thought he could measure up to that level. Whether he can do it or not, we'll find out on Saturday.
Well, you'd clearly be a lot more confident if you didn't go to the races at Belmont 3 weeks ago. If he came here off his first up run there at Pinjarra, you'd probably like he'd be a lock for your top four, wouldn't
Well, he was a $2.35 favourite in the Nicopolis.
Yeah.
He ran 7th of 8th. He was beaten over 6 by Rockanory. Now, Rockanory goes around in the hands, but the market did love him off the back of what he did in the Newmarket on a day when you needed to be on speed. He was back and he was charging to the line, running a length behind Fanta, third on that occasion. So, but yeah, a lot of signs point in the direction of Magnificent Andy for mine, and clearly you as well.
Yeah, yep. I think if you can get $3 or north of $3 for Magnificent Andy, I think it's a good bet in the Golden Saddle. Saturday, race number 7 on the program. Race 8, do you have a thought in the Kalgoorlie Cup? The market says it's a race in 2. Sentimental Hero, Starry Heights, $2.40, $2.70 respectively. Then you're out to Rywood at 10. I Love Your Smile 11. Be Optimistic at 16.
Yeah. Look, I don't know yet. I need to do a bit of a deeper dive. If you were to hold a gun to my head, maybe Starry Heights. The fact that Sentimental Hero has to give him 4, but I'm not certain just yet. Not certain. One that might get me at an each-way quote. Maybe a 1-by-3 basis is Rywood.
Okay.
I like the run in the Boulder Cup and looked like it had something to give in the Coolgardie Cup. You know, things went wrong on that occasion. The step to 2,300, not an issue. Nice enough gate. Rywood each way, perhaps, but I thought Starry Heights could turn the tables on Sentimental Hero.
I thought for sure you were going to say Curramundi then. He's one of yours.
He is one of mine. He might try and get Sean McGruddy on tomorrow morning in the Hour of Power and get his view on Curramundi and how he's tracking.
All right, so Inside Running Saturday, we'll get your numbers for the Kalgoorlie Cup locked away. Of course, Shayne Warren and Darren McCauley up there from Kalgoorlie.
Did you have a view in the Swan Draft Kalgoorlie Cup?
I'd lean the way of Sentimental Hero, just I think map advantages, and we've seen him race at these staying races. He's able to control and dictate, as we heard from Peter Fernie. Nice big horse, 60.5 in this sort of race. I'm not sure it's going to be too much of an impediment. Expect him to probably come to Perth after this and play some part in some staying races on the way to a Perth Cup.
Agree.
So looking forward to that, though, and looking forward to the Golden Saddle. Hannon's on today. If you are gambling, please do it responsibly with Tab Touch, of course. Retrovision text line 0427 789 571 is where you text your tips to as well. Diggers, your best today?
It is in the last race 8, number 3, Lavish Charm.
All right, so we've got a couple of texts here for tips. Benny from Bunbury is with Captain Chaos into Starry Heights.
Okay.
That's his multi. Oh, Robbo's gone early. Rockanory is a moral.
Rockanory is a moral.
Use the M word.
Strong. Look, he's a last start winner. He's on top of the ground and he's drawn a gate to get a beautiful run. So, Robbo, good luck.
Absolutely. Dave from Canning Vale. Hey, boys. I really like in the Churchill medal Reece Walsh. If the Broncos get up, Reece will have to have a big game. I also like Stags for value at $26.
Tony Stags, okay.
He's a try-scoring machine.
All right. Says
Dave.
Okay.
So Reece Walsh there in the Clive Churchill medal for Dave. Good luck there, Dave. Here's Jason from Swanview. Hey, man, sitting on the balcony on my apartment overlooking the marina in sunny Darwin. While icing up a few sore spots after Game 2 yesterday of the AFL Masters National Carnival.
Jason.
He's still going.
He's still going, and it'd be 34 degrees up there, wouldn't it?
WA have also got the over 35s, 40s and 45s, along with the over 35s and 40s women's teams into the grand final. Up the Black Ducks.
Jason. Give it a rest, son. Just relax. Enjoy retirement.
He's
a good man, Jason.
And finally, Mark from Vic Park. Diggers, I assume when you played your skills were like Sam Mitchell on both sides.
No, I wish they were. I
good handballer, though.
I could kick both feet, but I was certainly not at a level, clearly, of Sam Mitchell. It's called football. It's called football. Therefore, you need to be able to use your feet effectively. There's so many players in the AFL, particularly midfielders, who don't do that. And it drives me mad.
All right, we'll let you calm down. We'll go to a couple of messages from our sponsors, news on the other side.
Make Tab Radio your station of choice. Each weekday morning from 5:30 with the Sports Daily.
Just before we do get to Brad Hardie, Diggers, you've jacked up about poor kicks in the AFL, so you've made your top 5 list.
No, well, I want your top 5.
My top 5?
I want your... I think there's a clear number 1 field kick in the competition. And it's
clear number 1?
Clear number 1.
Okay, so when you asked me to put together 5, I sort of took that as you can do the most damage with your kicks. Both accuracy and you can bite off a kick.
Yeah, we're not talking goal kicks.
No.
Goal kickers, sorry. I'm just talking a pure field kick. And I think this gentleman is 10 lengths in front of his nearest. And you're looking at me like I've got 2 heads.
I'm not sure. James Sicily, I've put in there, top 5. At his best, he had a rocky start, but
good kick.
He can pull off some good kicks. Zach Merritt.
Yeah, beautiful kick of the footy.
Scott Pendlebury.
Lovely kick of the footy.
Dane Zorko, I'll put in there.
Yeah, he can commit a clanger, but yes.
Very damaging. We saw him, takes on the corridor probably more so than anyone else.
And
Marcus Bontempelli.
Yeah, he's the one. I think Bont's the best. I think he's a beautiful kick, and it just gets from A to B quickly with a minimum of fuss. Like he's sort of that loping.
That was stressful.
I'm glad that we got there. Oh. But yeah, I agree with Zach Merritt. He weights it beautiful. I think just Bont. He can kick it 50, 55, but he weights them well as well. He's a beautiful weighter of the football, but. Yeah, and look, some of the more damaging midfielders, those inside mids, sometimes they get it and they extract it and they don't have the poise or the time to dispose of it. And I talk of a Cripps, a Matty Rao, Dangerfield, Petrarca, Oliver, these sort of blokes who get their hands on the footy. Nat Fyfe was another one. Wasn't a great field kick. Hacker. But that's not diminishing anything they do in terms of their influence. But in terms of disposing of the football, I didn't mind that list that you came up with.
Did you put 5 together?
Yeah, I thought Massimo D'Ambrosio's a really lovely kick. I take your point about Pendlebury, Bontempelli, Merritt, and I think Hayden Young's an excellent kick as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to add something to Fremantle. Hopefully get a full year in next year. That's what that midfield needs. All right, we might get the thoughts on those lists from the 1985 Brownlow medalist.
On the Sports Daily, it's time to introduce the 1985 Brownlow medalist from the Footscray Football Club of Brad Hardie. This segment is proudly presented by Retrovision, Loans 123 and Ross's Auctioneers and Valuers. Introducing the boy from Hilton, the AFL guru, Brad Hardie.
Good morning, Bradley.
Good morning, Diggers. Good morning, TC. Good to be with you, boys. And one thing that rang true with all of those names that you threw up, most of them left-footers.
Yeah, exactly right. That's a good call, actually. Young, D'Ambrosio, Pendlebury, Merritt, Bontempelli. Sicily, a little bit of an outlier, but yeah, just the importance of... We were talking about that earlier, Brad, just because of... the news sort of over there this morning about Clayton Oliver having a meeting today with Stephen King and what that would look like or what the Melbourne midfield could look like should Petrarca go, and we know that Clayton potentially goes, or I'm not sure what the go is there.
Well, you'd think it wouldn't be good. I mean, one, because he's been called back off his holidays to do that.
Is it behavioural?
I dare say.
Is there any chatter about his behaviour?
No, I think it's more involved around... Look, I think what they've tried to do, Diggers, is clear the decks before King puts his feet under the desk. Well, he's done that this week, so to speak, TC. So, but a lot of that removal stuff was done... they're trying to do it before he actually really assumes the role. I think that's what they're trying to do. And that's fair enough. I mean, they've obviously had this. This is a list management decision as much as anything else. I'm sure part of it would have been the sell. Would how would you feel about that in his discussions with the club? I'm sure because those quality midfielders don't grow on trees. But the bottom line is, I think we all think that Petrarca and Oliver are shadows of the players they used to be, unfortunately, and they've got big contracts and they need to move that out. And they've lost Judd McVeigh to Fremantle. They've still got Viney. They don't need Viney and Oliver, I don't think. So they've obviously selected Viney. And anybody's guess as to why they did that. But if I go in today and I'm Clayton Oliver and I'm having a meeting with Stephen King and he suggests, what is he? He's an inside midfielder. That's what he is. He can't play backline. He's not a half-back flanker. He can't kick. That's not going to help. And he's not a forward. TC. He's played 205 games and kicked 59 goals. So my thought process is he either becomes the Liberatore Tagger type, Tony that I'm talking about now, or, mate, you explore other opportunities. I think we know where it's going.
Well, if that's the case, like Stephen King, when he fronted the media after being appointed coach, he said, we're not getting rid of experience and those premiership players are going to be imperative if we are to contend next year, and we view ourselves as a top 8 side. So you lose a McVie, you potentially lose a Petrarca, you've said to Stephen May you can go, and potentially Oliver's out the door. All of a sudden your experience and or high-end talent is walking out the door or being shown the door. So how do you contend next year?
Well, exactly. And look, I think there's an avenue there. I think he's made a decision, one or the other at least. And I think he would quite happily take Petrarca back if he has to.
Yeah.
He seems to be a little bit sugary about him as opposed to what he said when he speaks about Oliver. So I think that's probably where it is. Now, you know, I'm pretty vehement on that. I think it's either Adelaide or Melbourne for Petrarca. I don't believe there's a case for Gold Coast. I know he's up there, but I think that's more by Melbourne, you know, and his management trying to push the envelope to get a better deal. I mean, what do they get from Adelaide TC? It's not very easy just to go, well, here's Petrarca, and by the way, here's a set of steak knives back. You know, the Gold Coast have got a little bit more to offer in that regard, but I'd keep an eye on it. I think they've got other players in before Petrarca. And so if I was lining them up and sort of thinking, I can't say too much at this stage, but I will next week when they are allowed to roll out their plans. I think Petrarca's third, fourth on the list, to be brutally honest, and so therefore it leaves it Melbourne or Adelaide. And then does Melbourne cop what Adelaide are prepared to give, which at this stage isn't too much.
Where would Clayton Oliver end up?
Oh, good luck.
I know. I mean, there was interest in him in Geelong and that, but I mean, do they need another reckless kick down there?
Not if they get Warple.
No. Well, the other thing, too, that's going to have to come to bear to mind, as you know, he's got five years to go on a contract, around about $1 million.
Yeah.
So how much are Melbourne prepared to pay? You know, are they prepared to pay half? You know, what are they to move him on? I mean, this is the other. That's what makes it so hard. You know, I mean, there'll be clubs out there who'd be willing to take a bit of a punt on him because, let's face it, the Hacks get $500,000 now, TC. So, you know, if they only have to pay half and Melbourne pay half, it might be worth the punt. But yeah, you know, do North Melbourne? Do you need another one, Diggers? I don't know. But you know. No, but again, you got Todd Viney there. You know, do they think they can turn him around? Do they think they can make him a better player? Can he get that field kicking going again? I'm with you. I think no. But, you know, stranger things have happened, haven't they? Because that's where people end up, don't they? I mean, they seem to be sitting on their hands a little bit, North, to be brutally honest. I mean, they haven't done a lot, have they? They don't appear to be very active in the marketplace. So who knows? This might be the starting point.
No, maybe Zane Dersma leaves and that could unlock something for the North Melbourne Football Club. Now, Brad, seriously, Western Bulldogs, they need a key defender, that we know. They've let go Liam Jones. They tried Silvani, that didn't work. They had a crack at Wilkie, that didn't work. At this stage, it looks like he's committed back to St Kilda. Where are they at in search of a key defender?
Well, all you can do is try.
No, I'm not having a go.
They're after Silvani because he was a free hit.
Yep.
Well, the free hit turned into 5 by 900. Well, no, I mean that was just orchestrated by Ross, Gubby, and Silvani, his dad. You know, so you know he's going to be a rich boy. So good luck to him. Now, the Wilkie one was an interesting one, and I was across all of that, and I was just sitting back waiting, and I was getting the information coming through. Now, 2 or 3 weeks ago, TC, the Bulldogs made that overture because they wanted to return fire, which is fair enough. You know, Silvani sort of played them and Collingwood a bit, so they thought, oh, well, we'll have a throw at the stumps. And, you know, Wilkie's on about 700. So they said, righto, we'll give you 1.1 over 4 years. And, you know, we're genuine. And if you really show that there's an overture that you want to come, we might be able to amp it up. So the initial response was, no, I'm happy here. And then there's a little bit of thinking going on, think time. And then you see, you know, all these other players still coming in and then talk about Flanders for 5 at 900. Well, we'll correct the Tom Tits. Because they're playing good cop, bad cop. They had Silvani and Gubby Allen being bad cop, and they had the President Bassett making him feel like a king. Now, what's happened in the end, you know, we've played out the game of chess. We didn't get Wilkie, but guess what? He got $300,000 more a year. He's got extended terms to TC, and he's going to be captain. So, you know, that's what's happened. So they've made him pay. That's all you can do. I think there are a real chance, not that that's the key defender they want, but I think there are a real good chance at Butterick from Gold Coast to be that high half-back, defensive lockdown player, which they need because they've got Bailey, Dale, Johannison, etc., who all love to run off. Well, they need one who can pick there. And they're still in the marketplace. They're looking, but they don't grow on trees. As simple as that.
Don't.
So they're looking for one. But, at the moment, there's not a lot out there in that way. And, I know that, look, I thought maybe Butts from Adelaide boys, but there wasn't a great... the active assessment of him wasn't great. So apparently, that one's fallen through.
What do you make of the concessions that are going to be given to the Tasmanian Devils in the draft?
Well, oh God, I mean, this is going to be a nightmare for clubs going forward, particularly North Melbourne. West Coast to a lesser degree.
Bad time to be bad, Brad.
Oh, exactly right. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13 keeps going. But the other thing is that, the pool of $5 million to sign on, $3 million in either year. So it could be the first year they might go. Look, I'd be going hard in the first year, because what you do need, having been with the Bears and seen other clubs try to start up from scratch, you need attractability, and you need it big. So that's when I'd be spending the 3 in the first year and 2 in the second year. You've got to try and make it attractive to go down there and play with, because I remember many, many years ago, even when Fremantle started, there was a chance that they could get Paul Roos and Tony Lockett. But people, we're not going to pay him then that much money. It was a drop in the ocean, because they both end up at Sydney, and we saw what happened there. Yeah. So you've got to make sure you get it right. No disrespect to Peter Miller and Peter Bell back in the day. And again, the other day, who did they announce? Tassie's?
Jai Menzies. The Tassie boy. He's going to play VFL,
Yeah, that was a bit weird. I mean, that doesn't inspire you, does it? I mean, if somebody said to you, come and play footy with Nick Dacos.
So who should they get? Who's a legitimate, viable, attainable target that they should focus in on, Brad, do you think?
Yeah, well, they're still 2 years away. I mean, that's the hard part. As I say, and as I say, all this brouhaha, where I've been with the coach, I still think it's going to be McRae. Right. And they don't need to get Buckley now. Buckley's pushing the envelope, and people are pushing Buckley's barrow, but they don't need to do it now. They can have next year, 2026, and then they'll have their VFL side in the competition next year, and then 2027 they'll step it up a bit, and then ready to go in 2028. So you really want your coach at the end of this time next year, I reckon. And so the coach of, what I believe anyway, will still be coaching in the AFL next season. So you don't need to make that decision. But you do need to make list decisions and all that. And the same thing, Diggers, you have to really pinpoint who do we want to target, how much do we want to pay them of that $5 million, and who's going to be the most attractable player for us. So, yeah, who sees where, let's see where Collingwood land next year. Do they play finals again? Do they challenge again? Do they fall away? Nick Dacos might be interested. Who knows? Or they come as a package, the two boys. I don't know. That's what I'd be waiting, because I wouldn't be going early, the early crow. I'd be making sure that I assess it as the season goes next year as who might be the brightest light to bring in.
Okay. A lot's changed since you went to Carrara back in the end of 1986 it was. What's the biggest challenge? And we've seen Gold Coast come in, we've seen GWS come in. What's the biggest challenge for a side starting from scratch? You've lived it.
Talent retain. Talent retain. That's what you got to do. You don't want players going down there, because they can also get one from each club of uncontracted players. From the 18 clubs, which that's a bloody good start. We got blokes who who'd been on AFL VFL lists in those days in the last 3 years. Doc Aiken, remember played for Claremont?
Yeah, Mike Aiken.
He was put up by Carlton. He'd been a doctor in London for 2 years. Yep. You know what I mean? So, to get 18 players, and who's to say? I mean, who's to say they don't try and raid North Melbourne and say, we wouldn't mind Harry Shoesel, But what does that do for North? You'd be absolutely howling, wouldn't you? I mean, if you put work into Sheasel, Wardlaw, McKercher, who's a Tassie kid, isn't he? I mean, so you do all the hard work, and all of a sudden Tassie come and pick you. They don't want them to be the easy beats. I get that, but geez, the amount of damage it could do to those teams down the bottom, as you say, bad time to be down the bottom. And those boys might get attracted by a big sign-on fee, a long contract, and a new environment. The good thing about Tassie, it is a bit of a footy state. It's probably lost its way a fair bit in that regard. I mean, because they've had so many super players come out of there, Hudson and Lynch and these sort of blokes all over the journey. But they need to get it back up there. So, but at least they've got a football background. I know the North and the South aren't intertwined as one at this stage, but that's what they need to get back together. They need to make sure, okay, you've got 200,000 people who stumped up $10 to be a member, but now you've got to get bums on seats and you've got to get them going to the footy and making sure they're all pulling the one way.
As an AFL player in Tasmania, the lifestyle, would that be all right if you're going down there and living down there?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's understated, to be brutally honest. I mean, it's people say, oh, they need a roof because it rains. Well, it's one of the least rain-hit states. Yeah, it's cold. That's right. So
Melbourne's
you've got to
cold.
make sure.
Yeah.
And, mate, it's a bus ride. It's not like West Coast and Freo,
Exactly.
where you've got to fly 4 hours each way and sit in hotels and on buses and whatever. Mate, it's a bus ride. You're talking 45 minutes, across the Bass Strait. It's perfect. So, yeah, I think. But as I say, you must get a good group, Diggers, good group of, a dozen to 15 of those 18 have to be people who really want to be there, TC, and are prepared to sacrifice and prepared to be professional and throw themselves into their new digs. Because if you don't, it'll fraction and it'll fray, and within a few minutes, a few seasons, it'll be all of a sudden they'll be looking down the barrel of wooden spoon, which helps nobody.
Yeah, and look, I think the Tassie weather in winter, it's not great. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to be in the heart of winter for 3 or 4 months. Like March, April, May, it's still very much livable. You come out the back end in September if they are playing finals, and 90% of footballers play golf. There's golf courses down there. Yeah, so they'll on their day off they'll go and play some golf somewhere. They'll be fine. And you're potentially getting a stadium with a roof. It'll be state of the art. It's not going to be as flashes and as big as some of the other venues around the country, but it'll still be fine.
Yeah. And they'll still want to have, as we say, other events. There'll be cricket, there'll be rock concerts, just as there's Optus, that sort of thing. Now, I've got off on the tarmac at Hobart and Launceston at times, TC, with the sun shining and it's naught. But that's, as Tigger said, that's the way it is. Of course, everything else that went out yesterday, no surprise, we said that last Monday week, that the bounce would go. I'm not sold on that, and I know it's an individual choice. I had a look at the Age newspaper had it running a poll this morning, and there's been there haven't been 50. It's been like quite a few thousand have had their say. It's 51-49. They've made the wrong decision. So it's not universal. It seems like a captain's pick to me by Swanee in that one. And if you look at the sub, well, I think we all knew that was coming, but. The coaches ruined that because they introduced the medical sub in 2021, TC, mainly for head knocks. But then they started to, change it and twist it. And, Digby's not going too well today. How's your ankle, mate? Not too good. Oh, okay, you better come off. So they started to make it medical subs, you know what I mean? So I would have loved to have seen them go back to 4 and have a little bit of fatigue in the game and a little bit earlier, and the games open up like they did the other day in the grand final. I think that would have been better served. So, yeah, there was a lot of outs yesterday. It wasn't Are You OK Day, it was Are You Out Day.
Yep. And just finally, before I let you go, Brad, we spoke about it on Tuesday, but it was official, I think, during the day on Tuesday with the assistance package to West Coast.
Yeah, they've got to make it work. I mean, they can't stuff this up. As I said, the rider came from the AFL. Like, we'll help you, but you've got to help yourself. Now, what I mean by that, there was chatter and, I was patting down a lot of people saying, oh, Jamie Elliott's going to go there. No, he's not. The AFL aren't going to allow that. They're not going to allow you to go out there and get Jamie Elliott, Tom Mitchell and Brodie Myercheck and put them on rookie listed things. That's not the idea. You know what I mean? They want you to try and house an NGA or a father-son or an academy player, that you can groom and bring along, hopefully get it right. I think, is it Drew Bansfield kid? I think
Charlie,
pretty good.
Yeah, he's okay.
I haven't seen him. So that's the sort of kid they're talking about where you can, that's like the kid from Brisbane next year who's coming in. He's been at the Brisbane Lions since he was 12. And so, they're going to top up Annabelle or something like that. And I'm not sure of his name, but anyway, that's what they want him to do, TC. You can't exploit it. And they'll probably, as you say, use that end of first rounder maybe to get Brandon Starcevic, if that's still going ahead. I think it will be. I think they've hit a snag. I reckon Brisbane think Archie's going to Adelaide. I think he's going to the Adelaide Footy Club, so we'll keep an eye on that one in the next few days as well. See where it's going. So that's what they want them to do. They want them to help themselves, TC, and that means making good decisions. Do they split pick 2 for Oscar Allen? Maybe. Do they go to Essendon and say, can we have 4-5 or whatever? Maybe that's the way they need to go. Maybe because look at the Brisbane Lions, as I say, they're the benchmark now. 8 under 22 in that team the other day. I'm sure West Coast got 8 under 22 on their list, but they're unfortunately not as advanced as the ones that are at Brisbane for obvious reasons.
Yeah, exactly right. And we're here for some great sponsors, Brad.
Yeah, Group 1 Mortsy's going to have to rip. I can't wait for that. Get in there and get a big TV screen, because what about the racing on the weekend, Dick? It's going to be absolutely fantastic up everywhere, which is great. The Nude Nut, 1-800-100-100. We keep banging on about that. He can do things the banks can't. And don't forget me, mate, Frankie Lee at Ross's Auctions. He's statewide as well, boys. He's a ripper, and get in and get a bottle of vino tomorrow. Hope you're back a winner, and I look forward to chatting to you on Monday.
Yeah, so do we. Look forward to it. 1985 Brownlow medalist.
Brad Hardie is proudly presented by Retrovision, Loans 123, and Ross's Auctioneers and Valuers. Retrovision, lowest price guaranteed. RAC members save 5%. Loans 123 for all your loan needs. Call Steve Sell on 1-800-100-100. Ross's Auctioneers and Valuers, the leading auctioneering firm in WA. Tab Radio, your station of choice. Each weekday morning from 5:30 with the Sports Daily.
We actually haven't touched on it this morning, but the Perth Wildcats play tonight, Diggers. The Wildcats and the Hawks at 7:30.
Yeah. Under the stars, not under the roof, under the stars.
Yeah, open air game.
Yeah, roof
early
open.
in the season.
Bold. What is it now? October 2. It's a bold call. But fortunately, we have a gorgeous day here in WA, meant to be 27. It might be a little bit fresher this evening, but yes, the Wildcats hosting Illawarra, who were beaten on Saturday night.
Yeah, they were beaten when that was.
Saturday night, it's grand final night. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. And the game before the Wildcats and the Hawks, we get to see Bryce Cotton, the 36ers, up against the Taipans. And we know that there's one side that Bryce previously, when he was a Perth Wildcat, used to love playing against, and it was very much the Taipans. He filled his boots up against them.
Taipans at $2.75, 36ers at $1.45. Normally you'd be pretty confident about Adelaide, but Cairns have shown a fair bit already to start the season, to be fair. And Jack McVeigh, at least at the moment, Cairns, it looks like they've got a player that might be able to match Bryce if he does go for 30. They've got a sharpshooter on their side. And the Perth Wildcats at $1.57, the Illawarra Hawks at $2.40. JaVale McGee in town.
Yeah, exactly right.
Did he make a splash nice and early?
Wasn't it a big number? Well, I want to say big numbers that he produced for the Illawarra Hawks on debut. And the two games Saturday, the Kings 127 up against the New Zealand Breakers 375. It looks like New Zealand are going to have a long season. Mm-hmm. And the second game on Saturday sees the Bullets slight favourites ahead of the Jack Jumpers 187 to 193. No Melbourne or Southeast Melbourne in action this weekend. Why? Because they're playing the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes.
Who are in town, so that's exciting.
There, Zion Williamson, who looks very different. Zion, he's lost a fair bit of weight.
Yeah, he's a light gauge, isn't he?
Hopefully that stays true for, I was going to say Pelicans fans. I don't know if there are many of them. Be someone out there, I'm sure, supports the Pelicans.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go along?
Why would you?
Well, I think they've got some upside, the Pelicans.
Oh, no, that's enough. You've lost the plot. I was going to mention something, but you've thrown me now, so we'll get to Peter Howe. We'll talk about chasing over the weekend here in WA with the Racing WA manager of Greyhound Racing. Pete, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, lads. Always happy to talk basketball and all Greyhound Racing, but yeah, basketball is quite exciting as well.
Yeah, it is. Looking forward to that game tonight against the Hawks from a Perth Wildcats perspective. It'll be terrific if the Wildcats are able to bounce off what they did over in New Zealand. Mason Jones, big game for him. He needs to hit the scoreboard. Now, Greyhound space, what's doing, Pete?
There's plenty of action in the feature race cards. We've got the Friday night. We've got heaps of the chase over the 400 metres for the short, for the sprinters open class. So a couple interesting types going around as always. Surf the Sun in the first heat. It's just been flying down there, and it's drawn box 1, so it could be almost unbeatable in that race, one would suggest. And more interest in the third heat. We've got Adam Smithson's got a pretty quick one there in that Panadero Star, so it's taking on some of the more seasoned campaigners as a Grade 5. That will be an interesting watch as well.
All right, so those markets are just filtering through now, so we don't have a market up for that third heat, Pete, but we do have a market up for the first and second heats. Surf the Sun's the favourite at $1.40, and then Aston Nero, Cody Charles, who's had plenty of success this season up there at Northam, gets to Mandurah, $1.65 the favourite, so a couple of short price favourites in the first two heats. And then the features of the night there at Cannington on Saturday night, we've got a couple of more heats.
Yeah, distance potential for some 601 metre chasing for the Provincial 5. And, yeah, interesting again with one of our favourites, West on Sydney's back up in distance. So just been around the mark in those 520 metre city features where it just runs on all day and just doesn't always quite get the job. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it over that little bit more ground where I think West on Sydney just excels, I would have thought.
Anything else of note that you'd like to touch on, Pete?
Northern, last week we had that anniversary cup and Cody took it out with Al Benson, who I think we touched on is always a quality chance, and when his favourite didn't lead from out of box 8, he was always going to be Al Benson's race potentially, so that was quite exciting. And Timmy Tesla took out that the WA Bred Championship out at Cannington, and another greyhound that just was always around the mark and got to the lead and just held off all those chases. So, yeah, good luck to the connections. Timmy Tesla, always a consistent type.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Pete, thank you very much for that. We'll look forward to the chasing over the weekend. We look forward to the Perth Wildcats tonight as well. We'll speak to you next week.
Open air game as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. The roof's open and, JaVale McGee, just so he doesn't touch the roof, I'd imagine.
He has long levers. There is no question about that. He's a big man. Great to chat, Pete. Enjoy not only tonight and enjoy the weekend's chasing. We'll chat next week.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
There's Peter Howell, the Greyhound Racing Manager here at Racing WA. That's the point I was going to make before you threw me with the Pelicans. The Montrose Harrell, who comes here to Australia now, we know what's happened, put that aside. And then JaVale McGee, who they have pretty big profiles in the NBA. They've both come to Australia and really embraced the NBL and been very good for the league. So you could probably think they think they're a little bit better than the NBL and they sort of keep to themselves and they don't sort of give back to the league or anything like that. They've been very good, both of them.
Very good, yeah.
Well, 4, obviously. Montrose and Mott recently.
And we've had some young men come out here previously, haven't we, as part of the, what is it called? I'm not going to say what the next gen or whatever it is.
Young stars?
Young stars, and go back and play in the NBA.
James Ennis?
Yep. Well, James Ennis. LaMelo Ball?
Yep.
You had LaMelo Ball. So, look, this league, and I was talking about this with someone the other day, it's comfortably in the top 5 basketball leagues in the world, the NBL.
Yeah, you could make an argue for top 3 behind Europe and the NBA. Obviously.
Well, you pick the eyes out of the best European league, and sometimes they play in in those competitions throughout Europe and the rest of it. But the NBL and the profile it has right now, it's a beauty. Now, the only reason I talk about the Pelicans, I know they're in the West and they struggled last season, but if Zion can be the best version of himself, and he's completely changed, hasn't he? A physical transformation at the moment of Zion Williamson. But you go back last season, looking at his stats, he only played 30 games, but he averaged in those 30 games 24.5 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and shot the ball at 56.7%. If Zion is able to stay healthy and the support cast around him is decent enough, the Pelicans can spike big time. Now, are they going to be able to be a contender in the West? Probably not. But I think a lot of people are going to be watching with a great deal of interest over there in America at how Zion does fare down under. Because if he can show that he's in good enough nick and he's getting up and down the floor, it's a big result for the Pelicans, because I think this might be the final year of his deal with New Orleans. So therefore, you can see that he's getting himself in pristine shape, because there'd be a few suitors for him, wouldn't there? There
would be, but I'm sick of waiting for him, to be fair. Peter from Spearwood's texting on the Retrovision text line 0427 789 571. Got a couple of minutes to get through a few texts here before we get to Brad McManus and a touch update for the massive weekend of racing at Kalgoorlie. Bulldogs already have a great defender in Aaron Norton, but Beveridge refuses to play him there. Serious questions need to be made about his ability as a coach.
He spoke for 22 minutes at the Charles Sutton Medal last night.
22 minutes?
Luke Beveridge addressed the room for in excess of 20 minutes now. Ed Richards won his first medal.
Yep, very good.
He's a nice kick. He's a beautiful kick. Yeah, and he had a really good year. So it's great to see that he was able to, I think, finish just in front of Bont and Libba. Yeah, they're a watch. Because if they don't do anything to address their key position stocks in free agency, they have to work internally then, and it might be a case of swinging Norton behind the football. Now, they don't want to do that. We know that.
And I don't think it's just on the back six with the Bulldogs, personally.
No, it's not. It's not. And you've given Adam Treloar another 12 months. So where does he fit into that midfield? He's not exactly a renowned two-way runner, Adam. He's a great runner, but he's not a two-way runner.
No. And you obviously need offensively running midfielders, but they've probably got too many at this point. You got Libba that goes back the other way. Bont works hard everywhere. He's a fantastic player. But you probably want him with ball in hand going forward more so than you want him behind the ball. Defending.
They can't rock up to round one next year with the same setup and the same structure if they don't add a key pillar down back through free agency trading and all of that. They just can't because it doesn't work.
Donnie's text in, best kicks in the AFL, no Nick Dacos. He's a good kick.
He's a good kick. Yes, he's a good kick.
Well, that game when he played against Adelaide, some of those kicks in that qualifying final were unreal.
Very good kick.
Jared from Scarborough. I'm a Brisbane Lions supporter, but does Brian Myers play soccer? The Lionel Messi of our game, is said by Jared Waitley.
Yeah, he's a beautiful kick of the football, Brian Myers. He might not kick it.
The results are beautiful. Watching him kick it isn't beautiful.
But it's the most unorthodox style you'll see. The best thing about some of these Irish boys are when they come out, they kick the football beautifully. I'm not saying he's not, but you look at someone like a Zach Tui, Connor McKenna, who's signed a one-year deal. I
reckon Shayne's picked us up on one here that we've missed.
Okay.
Plays for Sydney.
Isaac Heaney. No.
Missed a lot of football this year.
Errol Goulden, another left footer.
Great kick.
Is that what he's saying? Errol Goulden. Yeah, that's a good call.
Great kick.
Forgot about Errol, but that's a good call. He's a lovely kick. Another left footer.
This name? No, can't find a name, but Tex Walker.
Yeah. And again, like so many of those key forwards.
Buddy Franklin was a good kick.
Beautiful field kick. So was Jonathan Brown. Gorgeous field kick. And Taylor Walker's an excellent field kick as well. And both Taylor Walker and Jonathan Brown, good goal kickers. But, yeah, some of those key forwards actually kick the ball beautifully.
Lisa's text in. She's a bit distraught that the bounce has gone in the game. If you want to be an umpire, the bounce is part of the job. It's like if any business or workplace you get given a job to do, just do it.
What do you think is more important?
Decision-making by far. Bounce of the ball now, and plus with, we're recalling bounces, we lose time in the game. I don't think it matters. It's going to be consistent. You throw it up and you're not going to waste time.
When you say lose time...
Well, you bounce, 2 seconds go off the clock.
But the ball's not in play. That's a pretty easy fix, is it not?
Well, it is, but why bother with even bringing that into play? Just throw the ball up.
Yeah.
What's the matter with bouncing?
But if you, and now that's not going to be an issue. But that's just ridiculous. That is the most glaring oversight from AFL House. It might be sounding a little bit pedantic, but if you've got 8 or 10 or 15 bounces being recalled in the course of a match, there's 30 seconds. That's a goal.
Yeah, well, they've taken steps and we don't have to worry about it now.
No, I still think there needs to be a rule implemented where you can't have the grappling from the ruckman at a centre bounce. If they want to do it at a stoppage, let them do it at a stoppage. But there's something gladiatory about two ruckmen running, jumping and getting that football at the highest point and giving I'd rather watch.
Isn't that on a certain ruckman, though? Like if you're up against Darcy Cameron, who likes to grapple... And you're
Brody
Grundy, and you're a Luke Jackson. You just don't engage. You stand back and you run and jump.
But you feel, and this is the fine line because they call a block more often than not. But if you're saying, okay, now I'm going to run and jump at the ball. Then they come across that line, which they're entitled to do. So your actual approach to the contest is interrupted. It's stunted ever so slightly.
You can run around them, okay?
Well, you're trying to run and jump at the football. Surely it's just easier to say, you line up there, I line up here. We're not like we used to be when you're charging off 35 metres, but we are, within 15 metres, and if you want to jump and reach that football at its highest point, like Nick Natanui in full cry was far more appealing than watching Brodie Grundy and Darcy Cameron lock arms.
Yeah.
Aesthetically.
Doesn't that look weird now when you watch old replays and the Ruckman are like 20 metres back?
But it's entertaining. Maybe that's me showing my age, but I'd rather see that than Ruckman just forever just wrapping arms around each other.
We had a period there, a lot of knee injuries too with Ruckman, didn't we?
Yeah, but that's why they brought in the rule, the smaller circle. So you didn't have the Michael Gardner situation, which appeared, I think, which raised its head over there at Westlakes against Port Adelaide, if I'm not mistaken, all those years ago. But anyway.
Oh, you're a lot more passionate about Ruckman than I am.
Yes.
Tristan Exeri. All right, we'll
Sid Barker medalist.
Yes,
Harry Sheezer.
well deserved.
Yeah, very much so. Had a good year.
All right, we're running a little bit late. We'll get to a couple of ads and then Brad McManus on the other side.
Maytag Radio, your station of choice. Each weekday morning from 5:30 with the Sports Daily.
As we've been speaking about all morning, massive couple of days up there at the KBRC, Kalgoorlie hosting the Hannans meeting today. And then, of course, we've got the Cup and the Golden Saddle on Saturday to run through a couple of the key markets. We've got Brad McManus from Tap Touch on the line. How are you, Brad?
Howdy. Good. You?
Yeah, well, Brad, good to chat to you on this Thursday. The Hannans market. What's the activity been like?
Pretty solid. It's a good even market, and punters are spreading the money around. We like to see.
Where are they spreading it to?
At 310. Cool Memory still firm at 310. Their price hasn't really moved, but the avalanche has not come yet. There has been some sharp money down the bottom there for Secret Attraction. Aside from that, a little bit of money fast flicker, but as we sort of go to the liabilities, it's Fleur and Euro that's probably getting the bulk of the support. But yeah, really even betting race. So yeah, we've really copped it a couple of years back with like horses like Magnificent Andy, etc., where they've been one-way traffic, but this is a nice even one.
Do you have a tip in the race?
No.
Okay.
But thanks for asking.
No problem. I'll ask again. Kalgoorlie, do you have a tip in race 1? Saturday.
Oh, this is a intriguing meeting. Punters are sitting on their hands a little bit as they tend to with Cal early, but yeah, not a great deal to report in race 1. Verlaine's a little bit of support there at the bigger price.
All right. What about races 2 and 3?
Saturday Sesh, one of the better goes of the day. Not a huge price move, but plenty of money there for Saturday Sesh. It's one of the better goes of the day. Race 2. Race 3, another really good even affair. A little bit of money there for more than enough, but yeah, that's about it.
All right. Race 4, last start winner close at hand, the favourite, $3.20.
Bit of money down the bottom for Yarrowlee on the spin. You'll must be pretty keen there, but otherwise not a lot to report.
Okay, race 5 is a 66-plus mile event. Curvette at the moment is the $3.20 favourite, just ahead of Decision Maker, a last start winner.
Gage Roads and Odinaka are getting the bulk of the financial investment at this stage.
All right, now we get into the features. The Ronsae Sprint race number 6 on the program, 1,100 metres, big field. Immortal Bliss, the favourite at $3.40 on the spin around. Quickly, Angel Undercover at $7. Where's the money going?
Well, she couldn't have gone much better last week, Angel Undercover, but the money at this stage is for Immortal Bliss. This is a cracking race, a really good one to get your teeth into from a form perspective. But punters at this stage are keen the favourite.
Okay.
A little bit of money, Bonnie Ladd as well at the double figures.
All right, Bonnie Ladd there, desperately unlucky. Or not unlucky, just got run down late last start, unfortunately. Now, the Golden Saddle, the $1 million weight for age. The inaugural running over the 1,200 at 10 minutes after 4 o'clock. Magnificent Andy is $3.10. Brad, what's the market telling us?
Time on it, Golden Saddle.
Yes.
Magnificent Andy getting some pro support now. The money's starting to come, but out wide, King Advisor and Man Crush are pretty decent losing results for us. There's been some good support. Snowdome as well of a nice trial on Tuesday. At this stage, horses like Plains Angel, Bravo, Final Siren, a little bit friendless. So Storm Chaser as well, friendless. So maybe better prices to be seen about those mounts.
Do you expect one horse to shorten up as we get closer to jump time on Saturday?
The one that always sort of had the circle around it and the asterisk next to it was Magnificent Andy. Was in the markets all the way through. It's sort of been an obvious target for it. So it's sort of one where you wouldn't be surprised if the money came. But with the depth of the field and the way this barrier draw's worked out, it does look a good even affair where every horse will get their chance. So it's a intriguing affair. Who are you leaning to there, Diggs?
Oh, I thought TC and I spoke about it a little bit earlier, Brad. Like if you're looking at the best horse in this race and or the proven weight for age performer, it's Magnificent Andy. And the run last campaign fresh in the Quokka, like off 2 trials. He's had 2 trials. The most recent one I thought was good. He blundered at the start, but I would have thought he's the one. And more so with it, I think there's a few question marks about the others for mine.
Yeah, spot on. A few that need to be sticking their hand up and haven't been leading up to it. Magnificent Andy, what a career. It took a little while to hit his straps, but he's 38 starts, and 20 of those 38 starts he's running the top 2. It's incredible stuff.
He's been a ripper.
Yeah, absolutely. If he starts with a 3 in front of his name, Brad, I think that's a great bet. The Cup.
We're away.
Hey. Swan Draft, Kalgoorlie Cup, 2,300 metres. The market says it's a race in 2, Sentimental Hero at 240 and Starry Heights at 265.
Yeah, money elsewhere at this stage, gents. Curramundi getting a fair bit of support. Royal Law at a bigger price. Punters staying away from the top 2 at this stage, but sure the money will be coming for them at some stage.
Any love for Rywood, Brad?
Not just yet. It's on a bit of a drift, getting to a pretty decent each-way quote too.
Okay. All right, and we round it out with a graduation 1,300-metre event, and Lucy and Peter team up here with Troublemaker. It could be a big 72 hours for that pair.
Troublemaker down the bottom, getting the support early too, into 290. Not much money elsewhere.
Okay. Best backed runner on the day.
Let's go with Saturday sesh at this stage.
All right.
Been a good little go early Saturday sesh. Aside from that, it's pretty quiet. Well, we do, as we discussed, we think that money's going to start coming pretty strongly for Magnificent Andy soon. Really interested in the money Snowdome in the Golden Saddle. It's one of our worst results of the day. It's been a really good early go Snowdome as well, so that's worth noting.
Now, it's not the only cup on Saturday. The time-honoured Mora Cup is being run. When is that market likely to hit our screens?
If not this afternoon, we'll be up tomorrow morning.
All right. Do you have a tip in the Hannons?
No.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
All right.
Straight up later?
Yeah, I think it's going to be in a bridge version.
Yes.
We've got the boys are loading bases for the Kalgoorlie Road Show. Mark's got his permit to return to Kalgoorlie, which is
remarkable.
So it's just you and Dougal.
Stuff. Someone's got a dog sit.
Good luck. Thanks, mate.
Pleasure.
There's Brad McManus from Tab Touch taking a look at those Saturday markets. They are all up if you want to have a look at those and play along. And just repeating, go into the futures tab there with Tab Touch. There's a Thursday Kalgoorlie promo. Diggers has ticked it off. Without remorse to win or run second, $2 max bet, $100 race 3 today.
I like that.
Yeah, you ticked it off. Yeah. Yep. Good.
You happy with that?
You can have a bet without remorse.
Yes, very good by you. You've had a good morning.
Well, I thought fair. I think fair.
You missed Errol Goulden, as did I.
Yeah,
that's a good. That was a very good. That's a very good kicker.
Shayne.
Yep.
Speak about players that sort of when they do use the football, they damage the opposition.
Now we are working through the hour of power guests, but I can tell you, SJ Miller from 7:35 a.m. tomorrow, followed by Sean McGruddy.
All right, for racing today, the one tip we have is Lavish Charm for you, race 8, number 3, and we're both with Secret Attraction in the Hannons.
Give her strength.
Yes, I'll be having something small and rush into the bar if one gets over the top of them. Speak about it tomorrow. Have a good day.